Mic check. Welcome back everybody to the Motive Racing YouTube channel. We are here for the final time this season for the PlayStation 4 GT3 League. And we're at the Nurburgring, a dark twilight Nurburgring for this final round of the season, with the championship still very much on the line between MTL Bloodshot and Rocco. These two have been going at it hammer and tongs since the start of the season, and it has come down to the final round of the season, which is what we all want. It's what we all hope for when we start a championship. We all hope that it can go down to the wire and that it can be wide open all the way up until the final race. So this is exactly what we wanted here. Unfortunately, there's only 10 people here. Actually 13 people confirmed that they'd be coming here tonight. 13 people said they'd be racing, which is already bad, but 13 people is not too bad. But then when 3 people decide to confirm they're coming and then don't, you know, what can you do? Well, what are you supposed to do? I don't really know what more I'm supposed to do. What more do you want me to do? What more do they want from me? What more do you want me to do? Do you want me to slap myself in the face? Do you want me to punch myself in the face? What do you want me to do? I don't understand. Why do people do this? Why sign up to a championship and then never turn up? Like, what the fuck? Anyway. Alright, let's just calm it down. So, whatever, I don't know. What the fuck? Okay, anyway. Awesome Gumball currently setting the pace here in this qualifying session right now, but Rocco has just gone a little bit quicker there, just under 3/10, and Cheyenne Speed just trumps them all. First man into the 155, so lovely lap there from Cheyenne Speed. PS Vid sat in third, is just sat in the pits at the moment. You got Awesome Gumball 6/10 off of the pace. MTL Bloodshot is just coming round up towards the line and goes P3 with that lap, so improves his time by 4/10. You got Jay Palotto just coming through the middle sector on the lap right now. You got Orange Rally in 7th, 1.8 off the pace. Nilsson just over 2 seconds off of the pace, sat in 8th place. It's Khan Mete who's in 9th, from Recco Vantage is still yet to do a lap in this session. But yeah, whatever it is that I'm doing wrong, you know, people who are signing up and then not turning up, whatever it is that I've done to offend you, you know, please hit me up in the DMs, explain to me so I can obviously rectify all of these issues that you clearly have with me or with Motive or just in general. Yeah, because it's just a wind up and it's getting ridiculous, you know, that the fact that there are 20 odd people signed up to this championship. I know not everyone's going to be here every week, but there's more than 20 drivers signed up to this championship, and no one, and literally half of the grid turn up. It's a piss take as Cheyenne Speed loses it there on the exit of the Schumacher S. You know, final race of the season, I get it, alright, there's not much on the line, but come on, see the championship out. Like, what do you sign up to a championship for? To have fun or to win? You know, ultimately, I think most people sign up because they just want to have fun. It's a game at the end of the day. We're playing on PlayStation. It's not like we're esports or anything. As Recco Vantage goes top of the leaderboard there by 2/10, 55.7 there. Lovely lap from Recco Vantage. I just want to say a big shout out to the 10 legends who have turned up tonight. Recco Vantage, Cheyenne Speed, Rocco, MTL Bloodshot, PS Vids, Awesome Gumball, Jay Pilotto, Orange Rally, Nilsson and Khan Mete. Massive shout out to you boys. Thank you very much for coming here tonight, and I'm going to try and cover it in the best possible way and hopefully narrate the show that you guys are putting on out on the track, and hopefully there'll be a story to be told at the end of it. But MTL Bloodshot's just gone 3rd place here in this session, and actually currently as it stands, the 2 championship contenders will be lining up on the 2nd row together. I suppose Rocco will be pretty glad to see that it is a tight grid here. There's a lot of drivers in contention at the top of this leaderboard, and that will be what he wants and needs here, because we'll need plenty of drivers to be getting in the mix. The gap 13 points between MTL Bloodshot and Rocco coming into this final round, so any points taken off of MTL that Rocco could then gain is very much what he needs at this point. But with the gap being 13 points and the points system, as I just now try and buy time by talking as I wait to get the point system up, and I still can't find it, so I'm just going to have to waffle a little bit more. So yep, just getting the point system up here. Right, it won't be a second, we're just getting it up now. So again, Sim League Pro, it's like there's about 10 different pages for each section, so it's a great website though. It is great. I do love it. It is fantastic, but sometimes it's quite easy to get lost in it. Driver's view, that's what we want. Driver's view. Full results. Point system. Okay, that'll do. Right, so we got 13 points. So actually, if Rocco were to win the race and MTL were to finish 4th or lower, then Rocco would actually take the championship. So that just goes to show how close it is. But getting a win for Rocco is not going to be easy tonight with the pace that Recco Vantage is doing. As we watch Rocco coming over the line, and he stays. Oh no, he goes up into P1 there. Wow, Rocco has just done a 55.5. That is absolutely superb stuff there from Rocco, laying down a marker there for the other guys. Now Recco Vantage down to P2, but MTL Bloodshot's going to be looking at that and maybe feeling a little bit trepidatious at this point because his championship rival is currently top dog here in this session. But MTL Bloodshot comes over the line and does that within 0.2 of it. So this championship still wide open at the moment between MTL and Rocco, but Rocco doing what he needs to do at this stage, but he needs drivers to get in front of MTL Bloodshot in this race. Recco Vantage comes over, doesn't improve. You've got Cheyenne Speed currently sat in 4th place at the moment here in this session. PS Fids in P5, Awesome Gumball 6th. You've got Jay Palotto in 7th, followed by Orange Rally 8th. Nelson's in the pits, he's not going to improve in there, and neither is Carl Mete there. So all those guys are going to come back out before the end of the session. As you see PS Fids coming up towards the line, doesn't improve on P5 for the time being then. Super Jurgen says in the comments, planning on joining for next season. It'd be good to see you, mate. Good to have you out on track. Looking forward to it. Saw you signed up for the Wednesday GT3 League. If you want to sign up as a reserve for the PS4 GT3 League as well, then be sure to do that. I know you can't be here every week, but we'll be running on Wednesdays and Sundays for GT3s, and also on the PS5 we'll be running GT3s as we have been on a Sunday night as well. We'll also be running cash events for the PS5 platform on Wednesday night as well, so lots to look forward to here at Motive. Plus the F1 League on a Friday night will be continuing for the foreseeable future. Actually, the F1 League will be continuing on every week up until the end of next season, because we're currently round 15 of the season. We've got 7 weeks left in that one, so it'll be finishing just before, I think, we finish next season. So we'll be starting all of them up again at around the same time. MTL Bloodshot though coming through the chicane, the final chicane. Here he comes through the last couple of corners now. This right hand bend which leads out onto the start finish straight. Now what can MTL Bloodshot do? Here he comes onto the power and up towards the line as Recco Vantage has improved a little bit. Cheyenne Speed's gone into P2. What can MTL Bloodshot do? Over the line he comes, doesn't improve, stays in P3. So Rocco still on provisional pole at the moment. Rocco's had a bit of a barren run in the middle part of the season. Took the win in the first race at Monza. Hasn't had a pole position all season as Rocco. He's a bit of a racer. Hasn't really shown his mettle in qualifying so far this season, but that seems to have all changed tonight. He's clearly put in the work and has done a lot of hard graft over the course of this last week to get himself into a really strong position here tonight. And Rocco was, let's just have a look at his qualifying here. I've got it on the screen right now. So Rocco in the first race of the season, which he won at Monza, did actually take P3 in qualifying. He was 8th on the grid in Misano. So if he was qualified in 3rd at Monza and won the race, he qualified 8th in Misano and finished 5th. At Hungaroring, he qualified in 7th and finished in 2nd. Then Zolder, he qualified in 4th and ended up finishing in 3rd. And last week at Barcelona, he qualified in 9th and ended up finishing in 2nd. So Rocco's a driver who always seems to improve on his qualifying position, but right now he's got pole position, so that bodes very well for Rocco. And MTL Bloodshot with work to do, but MTL Bloodshot's had a fantastic record this season, to be fair to him. I mean, he's qualifying, he's always been in the top 2 in qualifying, and in the races he's only not won the first round at Monza. MTL Bloodshot's taken 4 wins in a row since Rocco took the first round at Monza, but Rocco's consistency has kept him in this championship. And MTL Bloodshot maybe cursing, maybe ruining the incident that we saw in the first round. Obviously he had that incident with Awesome Gumball which cost him the win in the first round at Monza. He ended up finishing P7 in that one, so who knows what might happen here. But It is Rocco currently setting the pace in qualifying, and it's looking like it's going to be pole for him, unless Shea and Speed can do anything about it. He's the last driver up the top who's on a lap. We've got Jay Palotto, who is just coming through the final corner at the moment. You've got Nilsson, who's coming through the arena section. Carl Mete down in P10, not where he wants to be. He's in a battle for third place in the championship. Orange Rally looking like he's going to be pretty good for that one. And Nilsson a little way behind them in the championship battle, as my nan is calling me, so do bear with us, guys. But that's the end of the qualifying session. So it's going to be Rocco on pole, header Shea and Speed, MTL Bloodshot, Recco Vantage, Awesome Gumball header PS Fizz, Shea Palotto, Orange Rally, Nilsson and Carl Mete rounding out the grid. Check, check. Here we are then, ladies and gentlemen, we're about to go racing for the final race of this season for the PlayStation 4 GT3 Championship here at Motive, and we're underway. Cheyenne Speed in the end did nick pole position away from Rocco right at the end of the qualifying session as we had to run off quickly at the end there, so unfortunately we didn't get that on camera, but we got who's that diving down the inside? Somebody's gone for a late lunge. PS Fids has just gone and taken pretty much all of them here. Cheyenne Speed's trying to hold it on the inside of the Mercedes Arena as they're side by side, but where's PS Fids ended up here? He's now in second place. Did he barge his way through or what? I tell you what, he absolutely got his elbows out. Oh, as we can see a collision there in the background. Orange Rally has come together with was that it wasn't Awesome Gumball, Jay Palotto I think, but Cheyenne Speed leading us coming down towards turn 4 for the first time. Rocco there in second, so PS Fids has dropped back. Where is PS Fids now? PS Fids, no, PS Fids is still in second, and Rocco in third place there just behind these guys at the moment. So it's Cheyenne Speed from PS Fids from Rocco, and MTL Bloodshot, where has he ended up after all those scuffles? I think MTL Bloodshot has lost a bit of time here at the start of this race. He's dropped down the order ever so slightly, and MTL Bloodshot, in fact, he hasn't just dropped down the order ever so slightly, he's down in P10 as Orange Rally's trying to make the move on an Awesome Gumball through the hairpin, and that's that one done up towards the Schumacher S's. Is he going to be able to complete that move? No, looks like Awesome Gumball's going to try and come back at him here. Orange Rally onto the gravel a little bit there, and that's going to allow Awesome Gumball round the outside up into 8th place. But here comes MTL Bloodshot looking to try and get around the outside here of Orange Rally, and is he going to be able to complete this one? Or MTL Bloodshot, has he got damage here? Hopefully he hasn't got damage on the car, but he's down in P10 in the early stage of this race, and that'll be the last thing that he wanted in his championship battle with Rocco. Rocco up in third place, currently in contention with the two leaders Cheyenne Speed and PS Vids, but MTL Bloodshot, it couldn't have gone much worse for him, reminiscent of the first round of the season at Monza where he ended up with huge damage at the end of the first lap and finished in 7th place in the end. But over the line to complete the first lap, it's Cheyenne Speed from PS Fids from Rocco in third. These three have gapped Recco Vantage a little bit. Recco Vantage there running in 4th place, only about 4 seconds off of the lead, so it's not all doom and gloom for him at the moment. You've got Jay Palotto there in 5th ahead of Carl Mete, who's currently tracking him. Carl Mete having a much better race than he did in the qualifying session. Awesome Gumball having a look to the inside here of Carl Mete into turn 1. Oh, Awesome Gumball very brave on the brakes there. Oh, he just about gets it up. They gave him a bit of a tap there in the side, but in the end it's all good, fair and good there between those two, and Carl Mete continues on his way. Awesome Gumball went for a brave one there on the brakes, couldn't quite make it work. Nelson's got Orange Rally, and MTL Bloodshot's got ahead of Orange Rally up into 9th, so Orange Rally now down to P10, and MTL Bloodshot now making some gains here in this race, but he's got work to do here if he wants to get himself in the top 5, currently in 9th place at the moment. Cheyenne Speed's got half a second to PS Fids. Rocco there in 3rd place ahead of Recco Vantage. Hopefully the stream's all good. I didn't have a chance to check and make sure everything was good beforehand, but yeah, it looks all good to me, so we are all Gucci here. In the meantime though, Carl Mete's on the back of Jay Palotto, these two banging it out over 5th and 6th places here in this race. Awesome Gumball's on the back of them there in 7th ahead of Nilsson. You've got MTL Bloodshot there now on the back of this battle for 5th place. It's now turning into a bit of a 4-car train, 5-car train if you include Orange Rally, but MTL Bloodshot looking to try and go around the outside of Nilsson, and Nilsson lets him pass there. Wanted absolutely none of that, did Nilsson, and fair play to him, I guess, because he didn't want to get involved in the championship battle, didn't want to mess with anybody's races there, and that is, Nilsson lets Orange Rally through as well there, so Nilsson wanted no part in any of that, and MTL Bloodshot is now into 8th place here in this race and can try and chase down Awesome Gumball just up ahead of him. Carl Mete there, ratting over that curb, wasn't he, coming to that flat-out right-hander, and Cheyenne Speed's managed to gap PS Fids a little bit. The gap's 1.3 at the front between Cheyenne Speed and PS Fids, but Rocco's eyeing up PS Fids. Rocco knows that his championship could very much be back on again with MTL Bloodshot struggling in this race. He's on the back of Carl Mete and Awesome Gumball, but by the time he gets ahead of them, he'll be a long way behind Jay Palotto and also Recco Vantage as well. But Rocco's made the move there up into P2 and gets himself up into that position, so he's done PS Vids, and now Rocco only a second and a half off of the lead of this race. MTL Bloodshot, if he's listening to the stream or if he's looking at the timing board, will know where Rocco is and will know that he's got work to do here in this one. Awesome Gumball trying to get around Carl Mete in this battle for 6th place. Jay Palotto in the foreground there, just coming through your shot ahead of these two who are continuing to go at it, and then you've got MTL now waiting in the wings, battling at the front, continuing to come down in the gap between Cheyenne Speed and Rocco here. Rocco's got a gap at, well, it looked like it was less than that, but apparently it's 1.4 seconds. In fact, PS5's got back ahead of him. That's surely not right. No, the first sector's a little bit longer on ACC than it is on other games. So on other games, the first sector ends after the Mercedes Arena, but on this one it ends halfway down the hill towards the hairpin. But Cheyenne speed currently from Rocco, and Rocco's gap PS5 a little bit by about a second here. Carl Mete still on the back of Jay Palotto here, battling it out over 5th place. You got Awesome Gumball trying to make something happen here with Carl Mete, but he's now got MTL Bloodshot hot on his trunk as well now, as we see there MTL looking to the inside through the Schumacher S, but at the moment Awesome Gumball holding firm. Awesome Gumball, though, as I say that, gets a little bit loose onto the gravel, and that's all that MTL Bloodshot needed. And MTL Bloodshot now into P7. Is Awesome Gumball going to be vulnerable to Orange Rally, who looks down the inside into this left-hander? Yes, he does. Orange Rally gets the move done there up into 8th. So Awesome Gumball losing a couple of positions in a space of 2 corners there. And MTL Bloodshot is now on the back of Carl Mete, looking to size up another victim here. He's flashing his lights here. It's MTL Bloodshot. He's trying to get into his head a little bit. He's saying, look, mate, I'm in the championship battle. Get me through. Come on, don't mess around. But Carl Mete more than his rights to keep him behind. And to be fair, Carl Mete's in a battle of his own in the championship. He could be able to secure P3 here tonight in the championship, so he's not in any mood whatsoever to let MTL just breeze past him. But MTL really was close there as they came out on the last corner, a bit close for comfort as they come down the start-finish straight. And as they come down towards turn 1, MTL Bloodshot is going to get this one done here, up into 6th place. So he's continuing his brilliant comeback driving this race. I don't think he has got damage on the car, to be fair. I had a feeling he might, but it's looking very much like he doesn't have damage on that Bentley. I think that's pristine condition at this point, but he can now look to set after Jay Palotto running in 5th place here in this race. Cheyenne Speed's got a 1.8 second gap. He's actually extending that gap over Rocco, but Rocco sitting pretty here in 2nd place. He needs to gain 13 points though on MTL Bloodshot in the championship. So we're just going to quickly check out the order again, and we're going to work this one out, as obviously it's going to be crucial for tonight to know what the situation is in the points, in terms of the point systems and everything. So here we go then. Victory gets 60 points, 2nd gets 55, 3rd gets 50, 4th gets 45, 5th gets 41, 6th gets 37. So if Rocco were to continue right now where he is, 2nd place, consolidating P2, comfortable, doing what he needs to do, you get 55 points. MTL Bloodshot is now into 6th place, and he's on the back of Jay Palotto, so he's going to be, I think, in P5 pretty soon, if I'm honest with you. So he'll score 41 points for that. So as it stands in this race, if MTL Bloodshot were to get ahead of Jay Palotto into 5th place, and Rocco were to finish where he is now in 2nd, then Rocco would win the championship by 1 point as it stands here in this race. As we see Jay Palotto getting a little bit of loose there. Oh, in the background, Awesome Gumball. Oh no, Jay Palotto off and Awesome Gumball off as well. Did he take Carl Mete with him? No, he didn't. And Carl Mete, Orange Rally and Nilsson doing brilliantly there to get through. But Carl Mete is now dropped behind Nilsson to the back, aside from Awesome Gumball, who's now well off of them and into the pits here at the end of lap 4. But we're side by side here down the start finish straight. Oh no, what's going on? What's going on? Jay Palotto seemed like he pit manoeuvred. He just pit manoeuvred Carl Mete. No, sorry, Orange Rally. He pit manoeuvred Orange Rally into the ball. What's all that about? Unbelievable. Jay Palotto has been passed by Carl Mete. Carl Mete into 6th place. And Nilsson on the back of these guys. But what was going on there? That is shocking. Awesome Gumball in the pits to fix that damage. Did Orange Rally get it stopped enough to not absolutely go charging into that wall? I don't know. But he's got heavy damage on the front of that car, and that's going to really affect his race here tonight. You can bet on that. Cheyenne Speed out the front's got a 3-second gap over Rocco. He's continuing to pull out that gap. Rocco looks comfortable to PS Vids at the moment. They got 1.4 between those two. You've got Rocco Vantage sat in 4th place at the moment. And then it's 10 seconds back to MTL Bloodshot. So the question is, has MTL Bloodshot got the pace to reel in Recco? He needs to get ahead of Recco Vantage if he is to take this championship. As it stands here in this race, the gap between Rocco and MTL Bloodshot, it would be a swing of 14 points in favour of Rocco, which would give him the championship based on the fact that he's 13 points behind by 1 point. As it stands in this race, 10 minutes into this final race of the season, Rocco would take the championship by 1 point. But it's a long way to go. Rocco could yet find a bit of pace out the front and start going after Cheyenne's speed, and you never know what might happen at the front. As we see, Awesome Gumball's got done for a stop-go penalty there. Oh wow, J Pilotto trying to send one down the inside of Carmete there. In the end, backed out of it sensibly, thought better of fully going for that one. Nilsson on the back of these in 8th place as they're coming down the start-finish straight to complete their 5th laps of the race. And at the moment, J Pilotto in that slipstream. Is he going to look to the outside here? Carmete defending that inside line in towards turn 1. Nilsson just waiting in the wings, but J Pilotto can't do anything at the moment here on Carmete. Gap at the front still 2.6. Oh, Carmete's got a little bit of a shaky run coming out of turn 2, and that's going to give J Pilotto the run here coming into the second part of the Mercedes arena. But Carmete's still there on the inside for the next part. No, J Pilotto's managed to clear him there, and he's up into 6th place. There is J Pilotto. Good racing from those two, good clean racing. But Nilsson might fancy a slice of this as well. He's looking down the inside now. Carmete in towards turn 4. Can't quite do it. And Carmete, where does that storm for now? But Awesome Gumball, what a massive shame there for him. Picking up that stop-go penalty, that's going to pretty much ruin any chances that he's got of bringing himself into this race. Cheyenne Speed's got a 2.6 second lead over Rocco at the moment, a further 3 seconds back to PS Vids, who's about 6 seconds off for the lead, then a further 2.5 seconds back to Recco Vantage, who's currently within 7 or 8 seconds of the lead at the moment, but he's not had the race so far. He just seems to be struggling to get into a groove a little bit. I haven't seen the pace that we've seen from him in late, to be honest with you. The GT3 champion in the multi-class series on a Wednesday night. We know that he's got talent. Can he show it here? Can he start to reel these guys in at the front? He's not too far off a podium now with PS Vids dropping off at the back of Rocco. But MTL Bloodshot, the gap is 10 seconds between Recco and MTL Bloodshot, and Recco is where MTL needs to be if he wants to take this championship. As it stands here in this race, Recco Vantage is the thorn in the side for MTL Bloodshot, and Rocco will be taking the championship here tonight if things stay as they are. But long way to go. We're by no means done just yet. As we've got a few comments coming in here on the stream right now, as obviously Jürgen was saying earlier on that he plans on joining next season. Ryan said he would have raced tonight, but he had to go and see his new gym. Yeah, man, just please tell us in future though, mate. Like, it's not that, like, it's just the fact that you're not here more often than you are, and it's like, you know I like you, Ryan. Obviously, I appreciate all the stuff that you do in the Discord server with the multi-class and everything, but just please let us know in advance. It's not fair when you tell us after the race has started, that's all. J Pilotto, that was dangerous, says Ryan. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It was very, very sketchy there down the start-finish straight. He seemed to pit manoeuvre Carmete. I don't think it was intentional. I highly doubt that he meant to do it, but you just got to be careful. You've got to be more aware. And if you need some markers on the, put your markers on if you need to. Just make sure that you're equipped to drive on cockpit view if you're using cockpit view. I myself use bonnet. I'm way too much of a pussy to use cockpit. I use bonnet, but whatever floats your boat. Ultimately, do whatever you need to do in order to be able to race. But Recco Vantage in the meantime is closed up onto the back of PS Vids. The gap less than a second here between these two, battling it out over 3rd place. And here we go, Recco's looking down the inside in towards the final corner. PS Vids leaves the door open. We're going to be side by side here down the start finish straight. Looks like PS Vids has got slightly more straight line speed, as you'd expect. The Aston Martin out dragging the Porsche down towards the first corner they come, but look at that, the Porsche is going to send one here. Recco Vantage looking down the inside, bit of contact there, but PS Vids holds it around the outside for now. And Awesome Gumball has still yet to come in for his stop-go penalty, which he's got to serve pretty soon. Is he retiring the car? I think he is. Yeah, he is. He's retiring the car. Gap at the front between the top two, Cheyenne Speed and Rocco, 2 seconds at the moment. Recco's not quite been able to get that done on PS Vids coming through the arena, so PS Vids must have come back at him around that section of the track. Awesome Gumball's going again, good to see. Finish the race, mate, please. We need 10 drivers to finish the race at least. Come on, let's get 10 to the end. Please. You get good points. Not that it means much now, but you get good points. Carl Mete still on the back of Jay Palotto. These two going at it for 6th, and Nilsson's still very much on them here. But it's been as you were between these three for the last few laps. It's reminiscent actually of the battle between Albon, Gasly and Hamilton in the F1 earlier on at Imola. Some of you will have seen what an absolute drab situation that was. Those three literally following each other around in a train for about 30 laps. Imola got to be the worst track for overtaking probably on the F1 calendar, hasn't it? I mean, it's alright when it's a one-on-one overtake, but when you've got a train of cars, God, it's a bloody nightmare. I tell you what, I felt sorry for both Gasly and Hamilton, to be honest, but you can see here Nilsson trying to get around Carl Mete here as these two battle it out. He's looking back down the inside for this right hander, but Carl Mete covers him off there. Good racing from those two in that situation. Gap kind of ebbing and flowing between Cheyenne Speed and Rocco. It's staying around 2 seconds. These two well and truly put daylight between themselves and PS Fids. Recco Vantage did have a brief crack at PS Fids on that last lap, but now PS Fids started to pull away a little bit from Recco here. I was meant to get back in time for the race, but the personal trainer was giving me an in-depth chat about the gym, and by the time I got home, qualifying was over. His brand's on after, says JR. Yeah, it's going to be on the same stream, mate. We're going to do the same stream for the PS4 and the PS5. We're going to stick around on here after this, so don't go anywhere. We got obviously the PS4 championship decided here between Rocco and MTL Bloodshot. As it stands in this one, it'll be Rocco taking a championship, MTL Bloodshot 9 seconds away from where he needs to be. If he finishes P4 in this race and Rocco doesn't win, then MTL Bloodshot will be the GT3 champion on the PlayStation 4 platform. He'll follow in the footsteps of Oz Wills, Thorsten Borshot, Kerr Hodgson, Quideo, Jonathan Reed and Luck Morato. Obviously those six, the 6 champions of the GT3 PlayStation 4 leagues here at Motive. Who's going to be becoming the 7th? Rocco obviously came 2nd in last season's championship and will be desperate to go one better this season. MTL Bloodshot's closing the gap to Recco, but is he going to be able to do it in time? He's closing about half a second a lap and he's 9 seconds behind. He needs about 18, he probably needs about 20 laps to get himself on terms. He might just be on Recco at the end, MTL Bloodshot. At the rate he's going at the moment, he might just be on PS Vids and Recco at the end. So, but Rocco currently in a decent position. He's only 2 seconds up the road to Cheyenne Speed. So Rocco, if he needs to, can put pressure on Cheyenne Speed. He's okay at the moment, and as the rate is coming down, he might be alright, he might not. It could really go either way at the moment. This championship is absolutely still in the mix, as PS Vids and Recco still going at it, but Recco too far back to send one into turn 1. The straight line speed of the Porsche pretty much non-existent. Happy to be here, I never quit, says Awesome Gumball. But good man. Good luck, Rompu. Also needs some penalties for taking signs down. Yeah, I'd agree with that, actually, to be fair. I think that's a good point. I think it's something we definitely could do with having. That's a very good point. So PS Vids and Recco still separated by 7/10. You got Cheyenne Speed currently 2.5 seconds out the front, still keeping a gap to Rocco, still pretty solid between those two. Nilsson's just dropped off of Carl Mete, and Jay Palotto is actually 3.5 seconds clear of these two now. So what has happened here to these two? Jay Palotto, Carl Mete and Nilsson spread out a little bit here. Orange Rally still going. Honourable mention to Orange Rally. He picked up some heavy damage earlier on due to the collision with Jay Palotto, which looked a little bit sus on Jay Palotto's part, but fair play, you know, you've got to give it to him. He's sticking with it and carrying on. He obviously knows that 3rd place in the championship is up for grabs tonight. And with Carl Mete running in 7th place at the moment, the gap between them was 4 points coming into this round. But Nilsson's right on the back of Carl Mete. And let me just refer back to the point system again. So if Carl Mete were to finish in 7th and Orange Rally 9th, then Carl Mete would pip Orange Rally to that 3rd spot in the championship. But if Nilsson can get ahead of Carl Mete and finish in 8th place, sorry, finish in 7th place, should I say, then that would demote Carmete obviously to 8th, and Carmete would score 4 more points than Orange Rally, which would leave them tied on points. They'd be tied on points. So that would go back to count back then between Orange Rally and Carmete. In which case, let me just get this up. So between those two, Carmete's had 1 P3 and Orange Rally's had a best finish of a P4 this season, so Carmete would get it on count back at this point. But Orange Rally 13 seconds off of these guys. The pit window will be open in a couple of laps, so he's just having to grit his teeth and keep going at this point. But we're going to have plenty of laps after the pit window. He'll probably have about 17 or 18 laps to really push after the pit window, so as long as he keeps the gap reasonably down, he could still have half a chance of getting this P3 in the championship. He'll never give up until the end, I'm sure of that. But Cheyenne Speed out of the front, 3.5 seconds is his gap over Rocco at this point. PS Fids currently running about 12 seconds off of the lead there in 3rd place, with Recco Vantage still hassling him, but Recco still hasn't been able to get anything done here. Carmete and Nilsson separated by 0.6 of a second at the moment. Hi Nana. Who's your favourite name on this list? So we've got Cheyenne Speed still leading the race by 3 seconds at the moment over Rocco. Rocco is not really closing the gap as much as he'd like to be at this point, but he's still got the championship within his grasp. Problem for Rocco though is that Recco Vantage is stuck behind PS Fids, and that is allowing MTL Bloodshot to bring the gap down. It's now 7 seconds between Recco Vantage and MTL Bloodshot, so that is coming down at quite a rate. Nilsson's still on the back of Carmete here in this battle for 7th and 8th place as well. Let's see what Recco can do here with PS Fids. PS Fids a little bit wide there coming through the second part of the arena. Recco can get a good exit out of one of these slower corners. He might have a shout. The Porsche's got good traction. It's just not as quick down the straights. But PS Fid's currently doing what he has to do. But the thing is, if Recco were to get ahead of PS Fids would then have MTL behind him. So these two holding each other up. It's only playing into the hands. Oh, as we can see, Recco's gone for a dive there. He's gone for a really late dive bomb into the hairpin, and that's allowed PS Vid to cut him back straight away. And that was close there. But PS Vid's managing to see that one coming and keeps on to P3 for the time being. But Recco Vantage there now starting to get a bit aggressive, knows that he needs to get this done quickly. And that's not how he's going to do it. That's not how you're going to get it done here. Nilsson still on the back of Carmete here in his battle for 7th place, and Orange Rally's keeping the gap to him despite the damage on his car. He's not losing too much time to these two as they battle it out. PS Fids and Recco coming through the valley up towards the final chicane. What can Recco do here with PS Fids? You see them, obviously PS Fids just tagging a curb a little bit through the chicane. Recco was a bit wide through the first part though, which kind of compromised his run and allowed PS Fids to just grab it together again. Out of the last corner they come. Recco's very, very close. Has the Porsche got enough in the slipstream to out-drag the Aston Martin here as they're coming over the line to complete lap 12 of the race? Here they come into turn 1. Is Recco going to send one? Surely he is. The Porsche is good on the brakes. Here he goes. Recco Vantage. Has he timed his braking point though? I think he has. Recco Vantage squeezes through up into 3rd place, and PS Fids has absolutely no response to that whatsoever. Recco Vantage up into 3rd place, and the gap back to MTL Bloodshot only 5.6 now for these two. So MTL Bloodshot's bringing the gap down to PS Vids and Recco at this point, but Recco now into that final podium spot. And Nilsson's still on the back of Carmete here as these two battle it out over 7th place, as Nilsson's now looking down the inside into turn 1, not close enough to make anything happen there. Cheyenne Speed's got a 3.2 second gap here over Rocco at this point. Carl Mete still keeping Nilsson at bay for the time being. These two have been at it for the last few laps. It's been tight, it's been cagey between these two. Reco Vantage is now starting to gap PS Vids, but the thing is, MCL Bloodshot is really bringing the gap down to PS Vids. The gap's now he's bringing the gap down to PS Vids. 4.4 seconds now separating 4th and 5th places. So MTL Bloodshot only 4 seconds off of a championship taking position. But with Rocco up in second, only 3 seconds off of the leader, it's still all to play for. Rocco could still put pressure on Cheyenne Speed. He could find a bit of pace and start having a crack at him here over the second half of this race as we're coming into the pit window now. And Rocco Vantage, the first driver into the pits. He's trying to consolidate, obviously, the gap that he's built up to PS Vids since getting ahead of him. There's MTL coming over the start-finish line, and actually, the gap's still the same between PS Vids and MTL Bloodshot, still 4.4 seconds separating those two. Jay Polotto there running in P6, all on his lonesome self. We've got Carl Mete there in 7th, ahead of Nilsson. Orange Rally, P9 after that contact with the wall early in the race. Awesome Gumball still going, and fair play. We'll pick up good points. Still close on the back of Carl Mete at the moment. The gap's up to 4 seconds between Cheyenne Speed and Rocco, and that's what MTL Bloodshot will be needing. MTL Bloodshot will be looking at that and thinking, well, that's a bit promising there. Obviously, he needs Rocco to stay in P2, but MTL in a net 5th place as it stands in this race. The gap's come down by 3/10 over the last lap or so. So now PS Vids hasn't got the pressure of Rocco, slowing both of them slowing each other down. He's just picked up the pace a little bit now, and he's got a reasonable buffer to MTL at this point. All he's going to take is some absolute maestro laps here from MTL to bring that down by quite a bit. But PS Vids currently, as it stands, running in a net P4 here in this race. In the comments they said, oh hi JR, fancy seeing you here. John Doran also getting behind Rocco saying go go go. As Rocco's into the pits here at the end of lap 14. Now what's the gap between PS Vids and MTL? That's the big question on everybody's lips at the moment. It looks like it's 3.8, so it's coming down a little bit by a little bit, about half a second a lap. MTL Bloodshot's gaining on PS Vids at this point. It's Jay Polotto in, as is Nilsson. Rocco we already saw coming a few moments ago. So we're expecting Rocco Vantage to come out ahead of. Expecting he should come out ahead of PS Vids once all is said and done with the pit stops. And MTL Bloodshot, but those two still yet to come into the pits just yet. Jay Potter will come out behind Rocco, as will Nilsson. Nilsson obviously in a bit of a battle with Carl Mete, so it'll be interesting to see if he can get the jump on him. So the net race, 2nd place, Rocco coming into turn 1, and he has just done enough to cover off Rocco Vantage here. So has Rocco played it safe here and put a new set of tyres on? It would make a lot of sense if he has, because he's come out just in front of Rocco Vantage, and Rocco Vantage on nice warm tyres compared to Rocco on the cold tyres is now putting Rocco under extreme pressure here. Rocco's going to have to defend here coming into this left-hander. I'll tell you what, Rocco Vantage might have this done, you know. Around the outside goes Rocco Vantage, and he's up into what could be a net 3rd place in this race, maybe even a net 2nd place here. I don't think Rocco Vantage has changed tyres though, because he was incredibly quick over the pit window, and he's got himself now into a net P2. So I think Rocco Vantage hasn't changed tyres in this race. I wouldn't be at all surprised if Rocco Vantage is running on the same set of tyres that he started this race on. but obviously with the nighttime conditions here, it's a cold track. The tyre wear is not going to be too major, so it wouldn't be at all surprising if you see drivers trying to go the distance and making it work. But Rocco will certainly have more grip than the guys who have decided not to pit the tyres by the time we get to the end of this race.
We are halfway through, not over yet.
So half time here in this final race of the season for the GT3s here on the PlayStation 4 Automotive for Season 7. Who is going to add their name to the roster of champions here at Automotive? Obviously, Oswell's won the GT3 Championship in Season 1, Thorsten Borchardt Season 2, Kurt Hodgson Season 3, Cordeo Season 4, Jonathan Reed Season 5, Luck Morato took it in Season 6. Season 7, who is it going to be? Is it going to be Rocco, or is it going to be MTL Bloodshot? The very unique thing about the GT3s and ACC here at Motive is that there's never been a double champion. It always seems like there's a curse. There is a bit of a curse on the champion of the GT3s at Motive, I've got to say. Oswell's first season, left the league after the first season, never came back. Thorsten Borchardt left halfway through the next season of his title defence. Kurt Hodgson was leading the championship by a long way, and then Thorsten left the Discord server midway through his title defence season in Season 3. Kurt won the championship Season 3, left the Discord after. Cordeo took the championship in Season 4 and ended up finishing, I think he was actually second in the championship the next season, but he was no match for Jonathan Reed in Season 5, who ran away with it. Jonathan Reed then moved to PC for Season 6, although having said that, no, he did race a couple of races, but he could only race as a reserve. He wasn't able to race at every race. And then Luck Morato, last season's champion, turned up to a couple of races this season and then haven't seen him since. So yeah, the champions of this league don't tend to fare very well, that's for sure. As Cheyenne Speed, the race leader, the net race leader and the race leader, he's both really, he's been in the pits, he's now off and away again. PS Vids and MTL Bloodshot trying to long this out, but MTL Bloodshot has got the gap down to 2 seconds now to PS Vids, and Cheyenne Speed's now on his way out of the pits, and Rocco is absolutely miles behind him. Rocco is nowhere to be seen. So Rocco really did lose out in the pits, and I tell you what, as he changed his tyre pressures, Ryan would know all about this. He might have messed his tyre pressures up here, because he is absolutely miles behind Cheyenne Speed. He was challenging him for the race win earlier on. I'd say he's probably about 20 seconds behind him now. Maybe more than that, maybe 25 seconds I reckon, the gap between them at this point. So Rocco's certainly not going to win this race. He's 3.3 behind Reco Vantage at this point. Gap between PS Vids and MTL Bloodshot, 2 seconds. So MTL Bloodshot knows what he needs to do now. He pretty much needs to finish ahead of PS Vids in this race, and he'll take the championship. A lot of pressure on PS Vids as they're both coming into the pits now at the end of lap 17. Now what do they do with the strategy? Do either of them decide to stay on the same set of tyres? It's looking like a lot of drivers are staying on the same tyres here. Could be the right strategy, because the track temperature is very low, so the tyre wear is not going to be too bad. The PS Vids and MTL both in. That's going to give the net race leader Cheyenne Speed the lead back on the track once again. Also noticing here on the timing board, Orange Rally's bringing the gap down to Carl Mete and Nilsson at quite a rate. Nilsson's dropped off of Carl Mete a bit in the pits. They were having a good battle before, but Orange Rally only 9 seconds off of Carl Mete here. And if he can finish ahead of Carl Mete, it'll be a battle for third in the championship between those two. So that's very much a lot at stake between Carl Mete and Orange Rally. 9 seconds separating them on the track at this point. PS Vids and MTL still in the pits. Cheyenne Speed's coming into turn 1 to reassume the race lead. Now Reco Vantage is coming around the last corner, and PS Vids is still in the box. So Reco Vantage has cleared PS Vids by quite a long way here. PS Vids is now off and away once again. There is Recco Vantage coming down the start finish straight. He's past PS Vids. PS Vids is now coming out of the pits now. So Recco coming into turn 1 just there. There's PS Vids just coming in towards turn 1. So Recco's cleared PS Vids by about 7 or 8 seconds, I would say. And MTL Bloodshot has come out behind PS Vids. And PS Vids has extended his gap to MTL Bloodshot over that pit stop. So it's now about 4 seconds separating PS Vids and MTL Bloodshot. 25 minutes left in this race. 4 seconds between them. But where's Rocco?
The window is now closed.
Rocco is still ahead of MTL Bloodshot at the moment. At the moment, he's still ahead of him. Is Rocco ahead of PS Vids though? I think he is. Hold on. Hold on. Yeah, he is. So Rocco's still ahead of PS Vids. Gap between Recco and Rocco is 4 seconds. So actually, Recco Vantage just jumped Rocco in the pits. So that could be massive for the championship, because Rocco needs P2 and for MTL Bloodshot to come 5th or lower in this race. So as it stands here in this race, MTL Bloodshot now is back in a championship taking position here. This is ebbing and flowing. It's going back and forth between these two, but Rocco, with a horrible pit stop, now finds himself out of championship taking position once again. And it's going back and forth right now. Recco Vantage, at one point he was the thorn in the side for MTL Bloodshot. He's now potentially the party pooper for Rocco here, but Rocco has brought the gap down by 4/10 coming through the middle sector, so it's still race on between these two. PS Vids running in 4th place. MTL, in order to be comfortable in his championship taking position, needs to really get himself ahead of PS Vids. The gap 4.7, but as it stands, he does have the championship within his grasp. As it stands, he will be champion, but it's not over. Rocco could reel in Recco Vantage and could end up finishing in 2nd place here. And if that happens and MTL Bloodshot stays in 5th, then Rocco would be the champion of the GT3s here on the PlayStation 4 Automotive. Big shout out to Cheyenne Speed though, because he's absolutely running away with this one. Incredible pace in that McLaren. He's not looked back, he has run off over the course of this one. Superb stuff here. Really, really impressed with Cheyenne Speed in the back end of this season. Hopefully he signs up for next season for the Sunday GT3 League here at Motive. MTL's just brought the gap down a little bit to PS Vids here. Look at that, the gap's now down to 3.4 seconds, so he's gained about a second over that last lap as MTL Bloodshot. And Rocco's keeping the gap at around the same to Recco, but he's not reeling him in. Certainly not by the amount that he needs to here. So MTL Bloodshot looking very good for this championship here at Motive. As it stands here in this race, MTL Bloodshot will be the man taking season 7 here. That's the gap between Carl Mete and Nilsson, 1.5 seconds at the moment. Well, it's come down to 3/10, so Nilsson's gained a bit coming through the first sector. As he goes a bit wide there though, coming on the exit of the hairpin. But Orange Rally's only 8 seconds off of this pair. So he's 8 seconds away from 3rd place in the championship. If he can get ahead of Carl Mete, Orange Rally can finish ahead of Carl Mete here in this race, then he'll be 3rd in the championship. Nilsson wants to have a good battle here with Carl Mete though. These two have been at each other's throats since the start of the race. MTL gained another couple of tenths on that lap on PS Vids. But it might not be enough if Rocco can get onto Recco Vantage, but Recco's gapped Rocco by another half a second on that lap, so actually Recco Vantage has got the pace on Rocco for now. Seems to have a little bit more in the tank at this stage. gap now up at 24 seconds between Cheyenne Speed and Recco Vantage. Recco Vantage is continuing to pull away from Rocco at this point. Rocco seems to not be able to match him in any way. MTL didn't actually gain anything on PS Vids on that last lap, so PS Vids picking up the pace. But the thing for Rocco is that PS Vids is closing in on him now, so the gap down to 3.2 between them, and Recco seems to be driving away from Rocco at the moment. And this is all playing into the hands of this man in the number 19 Bentley, who has taken 4 wins from 5 races so far this season. The only one he hasn't won up to this point was the first race of the season at Monza. He got quite unlucky on the first lap, got involved in a collision with Awesome Gumball, but then went on to take 4 wins in a row up until last week, and came into this with a 13-point lead in the championship. Rocco currently running in third. As it stands in this race, would gain 10 points on him, but MTL would just get over the line with a 4-point lead after tonight, which would give him the GT3 championship here at Motive. Fine margins, it's as close as anything right now, but Recco Vantage is pulling out the gap. He's doing what he needs to do to hold on to that second place. Rocco is falling away from Recco Vantage at this point, and the championship is slipping away from Rocco, as Nilsson still hassling the back of Carmete, but there hasn't been any position changes throughout the entirety of this race. They have been nose to tail since the start, but Nilsson just hasn't got the speed down the straights in that Bentley. As he gets Tom Carmete a bit of a tap in the rear there as they came through that right-hander, and Carmete did well to control that and hold on to it. There's still nothing separating these guys at this point. Shots brought the gap down a little bit on that lap to PS Vids. He brought it down by another 7 tenths. PS Vids gained a couple of tenths on Rocco, and Rocco is falling off of Recco Vantage by about half a second a lap at this point. I think MTL is the quickest of these 4 guys, running within about 10 seconds of each other. These 4, Recco, Rocco, PS Vids and MTL. MTL was quicker than all 3 of the guys up ahead of him. PS Vids seems to have the pace on Rocco. Recco and PS Vids seem to have similar pace, but they're about 9 seconds apart at this point. And Rocco there did actually just pull away by a couple of tenths on PS Vids coming through that middle sector there. But Rocco theoretically should be really quick down the straight, so through this valley part and down the start finish should be where Rocco's pulling out that gap. Recco Vantage P2, Rocco P3, PS Vids running in 4th place. Big overslide there from PS Vids. Ooh, did well to hold on to that one. MTL though is now within a couple of seconds of him, as PS Vids had brought the gap down a little bit to Rocco, coming through that part of the track. Over the line they come now. The gap between Recco and Rocco 6.3. Rocco managed to gain a bit on PS Vids with PS Vids' slide there coming through the chicane. The gap now over 3 seconds between Rocco and PS Vids, but MTL's got the gap down to 1.7 to PS Vids. So even if Rocco were to somehow reel in Recco Vantage now, MTL Bloodshot looking on the verge of taking 4th place here in this race, and that would be all that he needs to take this championship. To pretty much guarantee it, barring a Cheyenne Speed and Recco both crashing out or disconnecting. It would mean that MTL would be the champion, and Rocco would be doomed to finishing in P3 here tonight. As Carmete's gapped Nilsson by a little bit over that middle sector. and they're now way ahead of Orange Rally. So Orange Rally must have made a mistake, because that gap's now 12 seconds between Nilsson and Orange Rally. It had been coming down at a point. Yeah, he's got damage. He's got a bit of damage on the front of that Ferrari, so that could have put paid to his chances of finishing third in the championship here for Orange Rally. But fourth in the standings in his first season here in the GT3s, it's not a bad result at all. You've got to take that kind of result. It's not, you know, it's nothing to be sniffed at. Rocco's now got the gap of nearly 7 seconds to Rocco. PS Fids running in fourth. It's 3 seconds off at the back of Rocco, so Rocco's consolidated that gap to PS Fids. But PS Fids now coming under heavy pressure here from MTL Bloodshot. I'm feeling MTL Bloodshot's not going to be in too much of a hurry here. He knows that Rocco in P3 means that he's got this championship, but he could do with picking up another place just to cover off the possibility of Recco making a mistake or Cheyenne Speed having a disconnection. You know, these things, either of those things could promote Rocco up into third place. So MTL Bloodshot will be wanting to cover off that possibility by getting himself into fourth ahead of PS Fids. As it stands, he's looking pretty. MTL Bloodshot is pretty much almost a dead cert here for this title. It's Rocco, for the first time in a while there, gained a bit on Recco Vantage coming through the first sector. Gained 4 tenths. But I don't think it's going to be enough. To what 10 of you watching right now, guys, please do smash that like button if you can. It really helps us out more than you know. And drop a subscription if you're watching for the first time. If you want to get involved, be sure to go to our Discord. Go to www.motiveracing.com and click the links on our Join the League section of our website. You'll be redirected to our partners, simleaguepro.com, who run an absolutely fantastic ship. They accommodate many sim racing leagues on PlayStation, PC, and I think Xbox as well, maybe. I don't know if they do Xbox. I believe they do. So they accommodate and facilitate a lot of leagues across many different platforms on all sorts of games, ACC, Project Cars, F1 as well, Gran Turismo. So yeah, if you want to check that out, they run lots of leagues there, simleaguepro.com. But if you want to join our leagues, go to themotiveracing.com. There's lots to get involved with. We've got leagues starting up in 3 weeks time. We'll have new leagues starting up. Our new season will be starting very soon. So we'll have the GT3s back on a Sunday like we've got here. We'll also have a midweek league as well for the GT3s running on Wednesday nights, which still isn't full yet. But the Sunday GT3 league has been going for 7 seasons now. The Wednesday GT3 league will be starting its first season next season. But the gap between Recco and Rocco has come down a little bit over the last lap. Rocco's gained maybe a couple of tenths over the last lap. He's not going to get in the championship as it stands. If Recco Vantage were to make a mistake at this point and Rocco move up into P2, Rocco would suddenly be in a championship taking position again. What are the likelihood of Recco making a mistake though? I mean, I'll leave that down to you guys to make your own minds up on that one. But PS Vids still running in 4th place here ahead of MTL Bloodshot. But PS Vids seems to be able to match MTL at this point. The gap just over a second between these two at this stage. But PS Vids is doing everything he needs to do to keep MTL behind him. Seems to be able to match him for pace. As the gap's just crept up a little bit more now between Recco and Rocco. 6.8 currently separating these two. So they're coming over the line here to complete their 25th laps of the race. Down to 6.6. It always comes down in the first sector, down this long straight. middle sector it tends to go back up again, but Rocco's got 2.6 back to PS Vids, and PS Vids has now got a 1.4 second gap back to MTL. So now suddenly it's looking like PS Vids has got a bit of cushion here back to MTL Bloodshot. Advantage gained a couple of tenths, gained 3 tenths on Rocco on that previous lap. The gap's now 6.6. It was 6.3 at this time on the previous lap. PS Vid's got 1.6 back to MTL Bloodshot at this point, but Rocco has got a reasonable cushion back to PS Vids here, 2.5, the gap between 3rd and 4th places. MTL doesn't need to get into P4 at this point, but he probably want to. Disconnection probably isn't MTL Bloodshot's worst nightmare here for one of the drivers up front, because if Shay and Speed were to disconnect, say for example, or Recco were to disconnect, it would move both of them up a position, so MTL Bloodshot would take the championship regardless of a disconnection up ahead of them. In terms of him and Rocco, they'd both move up one position each and the situation would stay the same. But if Recco were to have a spin or something, the gap's only 7 seconds to Rocco, so you know, he could fall behind Rocco and stay in front of MTL Bloodshot. So, you know, it's still very much a possibility here, but, you know, I don't think Recco's going to have a spin, but at this point, just playing devil's advocate, just speculating. But MTL is currently running very nicely at the moment. I had a feeling earlier on that he didn't pit for tyres, so I don't know, maybe if those tyres are going off. I would have thought the Reccos would have started to go off by now though, because I had a feeling that he didn't pit either for tyres. Rocco I'm pretty sure did, because he spent a considerable amount of time in that pit box, and as such the only real viable explanation would be that he changed tyres. But he's dropped off a little bit more off of Recco Vantage on that lap. Rocco had a slow lap last time round. It's now 7.5 seconds behind Recco, and PS Vids has got the gap down to 1.4 to Rocco now. And PS Vids managed to gap MTL Bloodshot here. He's now 2 seconds ahead of him. Well, we're into the closing stages of this season for the GT3s on the PS4. These 10 guys on the track have put on an absolutely fantastic show, I've got to say. You know, I thought 10-man grid, it's going to be a bit of a dead one, but actually it's been really good. It's been fantastic to watch tonight. I've really enjoyed it. You know, there's been battles, there's been a lot of engagement, there's been a lot to follow tonight. It's been really good. But PS Vid's now within a second of Rocco, and he's gapped MTL by a couple of seconds. Recco's still running in second place. What's his gap to Rocco? 7.8, so it's going up. Recco Vantage showing no signs of his tyres going off in any way, shape or form at this point. As we've got S1 in the comments saying, let's go Cheyenne. Getting behind Cheyenne Speed, who's currently absolutely running off into the distance with this win. But the championship battle still on the line here. Rocco's currently 8 seconds away from where he needs to be if he is to take this championship though, and he's got PS Vids absolutely reeling him in at a rate of knots at this point. The gap is just over a second here between Rocco and PS Vids. Rocco needs to be on the back of Recco, who's 8 seconds up the road, and instead he's falling back into the clutches of PS Vids, and it's looking really like his championship is now hanging by a thread. But Rocco's struggles are this man's delight. MTL Bloodshot had a tricky start to this race, didn't he? I mean, he was down into P10 after the first couple of corners, and he had to pick his way through the pack. He did so really diligently. He managed to get himself very quickly up into 5th place after about 5 laps. The gap was about 10 seconds, wasn't it, to 4th place. You had Recco and PS Fids battling it out over 3rd and 4th places. Obviously needing 4th place to take the championship at the time, with Rocco in 2nd. He set about reeling them in. He managed to get that gap down to about 3 or 4 seconds by the time the pit window rolled around. Managed to get himself poised onto the back of PS Fids shortly after the pit window. And since then has just really stayed there, to be honest. Possibly took a bit of life out of his tyres trying to get himself back into this race. But his charge has petered out a little bit. But with Rocco obviously losing out to Recco Vantage in the pit stops, it's given MTL Bloodshot a championship taking position here in P5. He doesn't need to push, he doesn't need to go overboard, he just needs to bring it home. But as I said before, one mistake for Recco Vantage running in 2nd place, and Rocco could suddenly be in P2. But then again, if Recco Vantage were to make a mistake, then it would, you know, MTL Bloodshot's only now 3 seconds behind Rocco. So even if Recco were to make a mistake and Rocco were to get up into P2, MTL, there's a high likelihood that he would end up in P4. So that would still give MTL the title. So either way at this point, regardless of which way you look at it, it is looking very much like MTL Bloodshot is on course for the title. But I'm just trying to hype this up and trying to keep the unpredictability going as long as we can here, as PS Fids is now within 7/10 of Rocco coming into the hairpin. Now, are we going to have another lap after this one? I think we probably are, because 3 minutes on the clock. Yeah, we are. We're going to have 2 more laps here in this race. So these guys here have got 2.5 laps left in this one, or 2 and a bit laps really, should I say. Rocco, PS Fids and MTL Bloodshot there running in 5th place. But PS Fids now throwing the kitchen sink at Rocco, looking to try and take a podium in the final race of this season. We're trying to go out on a high, will PS Fids, I'm sure about that. And PS Fids in a battle of his own for 5th in the championship as well, which he could maybe be able to secure here. Comes into this 11 points behind Nilsson in the championship. As we can see, PS Fids having a little look there to the inside of Rocco into turn 1. Couldn't quite make it happen though. Looking back to the inside once again. Try to distract him in areas if he can, but Rocco holding firm for the time being. Knows that he's got a slim chance of still taking the championship here. If anything were to happen to Recco Vantage, Rocco could still be poised. But the likelihood of that is extremely unlikely, especially when you consider that MTL Bloodshot's only 2.5 seconds behind them anyway. So if anything were to happen to Recco, then MTL will be more than likely to benefit from it as well. But closing stages of this season here at Motive for the PlayStation 4 GT3s. And PS Fids still absolutely throwing everything that he's got here at Rocco. Cheyenne Speed has driven off into the distance in this race. We've barely even spoken about him. He's just coming through the final chicane. He's about to start his final lap of the race. PS Fids still looking for a way around Rocco, but it's not, the opportunity is not presenting itself at this point. And he's running out of time. He's running out of laps. He's running out of opportunities here as PS Fids to get himself onto the podium. Stands in this race, PS Fids is actually, I think, as we can see Rocco straight on over the chicane. That might allow PS Fids to make a move here into the final corner. He sends one down the inside. PS Fids very aggressive there, door bang between the two of them, and he forces his way through there up into 3rd place. Rocco on the outside though will have the straight line speed. The Lexus is very quick down the straights, and he'll have the pace on the Aston Martin here. PS Fids, I think, gave him the position back there, probably accepted that he was a little bit aggressive. He's looking back to the inside though as PS Fids into turn 1. Thinks better of that one. Rocco takes the corner, and for the time being, Rocco weathers that storm, but that's allowing MTL Bloodshot into this fight for the podium spots now. how MTL Bloodshot would love to take a podium in his Champions Drive here. He's most likely the champion-elect of this GT3 league, unless Recco Vantage or Cheyenne Speed were to have some kind of issue on this final lap of the race. But MTL Bloodshot running in P5, that's enough for him to take this title. Rocco still clinging on by the skin of his teeth here to PS Vids. But it's not going to be enough for Rocco as it stands. He will lose out on the championship by 4 points if it is to stay as it is. If he were to lose out to PS Vids, he'd lose out on the championship by 9 points. But as it stands, it's going to be a 4-point gap between the two championship contenders. Where's Cheyenne Speed? He's coming through the final chicane now. What a drive it's been from Cheyenne Speed, to be fair, as he's just put a lap on Nielsen. Into the final corner he comes. Could have won last week at Barcelona, got very unlucky with the disconnection when he was chasing down MTL Bloodshot for the win there. Up towards the line. He's going to make up for it this time around as Cheyenne Speed comes over the line to take the checkered flag. A dominant victory tonight from Cheyenne Speed, and maybe sending out a message to his rivals for next season that he's going to be a force to be reckoned with in the championship. Recco Vantage, a great drive from him, kept at it and was in the thick of it in the battles. Didn't get the best of openings to the race, but he's going to come around to take a P2 in the end. Managed to get the jump on Rocco in the pit stops and did not look back from there. Up towards the line, P2 for Recco Vantage in the season finale. Rocco coming into the final corner. He's going to be the runner-up in the championship for the second season running, but well done on a great season, Rocco. You absolutely laid down the gauntlet. You really did give it everything here, and he's a very valiant second place here this season. PS Vids fourth, but MTL Bloodshot is your champion for Motive Racing's GT3 League here on the PlayStation 4 platform, following in the footsteps of Oz Wills, Thorsten Borchardt, Kurt Hodgson, as well as Cordeo, Jonathan Reed and Luck Marato. MTL Bloodshot is the 7th different champion here in the GT3s on the PlayStation 4, and congratulations to MTL Bloodshot. You fully deserve it, taking 4 wins out of 6 this season, and the only ones you didn't win you got crashed into or taken out, so fair play to MTL Bloodshot. What a season from him, as Nilsson, Carl Mete, Orange Rally and Awesome Gumball have all finished the race. Carl Mete does take 3rd place in the championship, I think, on countback, having got 1 3rd place. So Carl Mete, or hold on, actually maybe not. Maybe not. I think Orange Rally might have done enough. Actually, I do apologise here. Carl Mete, I'm sorry. I think Orange Rally might have done enough. The gap was 4 points between them. They finished in 8th and 9th because Nilsson got ahead of both of them. So actually, I think Orange Rally holds on for P3 in the championship. Stay tuned for that one. Keep your eyes out for that one, boys, because that one could change. But I think Orange Rally has held on for 3rd in the championship there, ahead of Carl Mete. 5th in the championship, I believe PS Vids has taken that one. Let me just take a look here. PS Vids. Well, Jay Pilotto had 1 point on him coming into this, so yeah, PS Vids 5th in the championship for PS Vids, 5th in the championship for PS Vids, jumps Nilsson and Jay Pilotto, I believe. 4th, 7th, yeah. PS Vids jumps Nilsson and Jay Pilotto up into 5th place in the leaderboard. Nilsson and Jay Pilotto, not sure who finished ahead of them, between those two. That one's going to be quite close. I think Nilsson holds on from Jay Pilotto for 6th in the standings, and Recco would have gained a lot of points in that last race there. I think he would have jumped Edith Allcom into 8th. So yeah, what a race there. But MTL Bloodshot, the champion for this season for the PS4s. What a season, and I've absolutely fully enjoyed bringing you the coverage live on the Motive channel, guys. Make sure you join us for next season, and if you're one of the drivers, then be sure to look out for the sign-ups. The sign-ups will be going live for next season very, very shortly for the PlayStation 4. And if you're watching, if you're a PlayStation 4 driver, stick around, because we've got the PS5 lads coming out on the track very shortly. We'll be back in about 15 minutes time for the PS5 stream, so don't go anywhere. We'll be back on very soon. But once again, a big thank you to all the drivers who raced this season in the PS4 GT3s. Apologies to those who genuinely couldn't make it this week or last week for my rants. Apologies to the genuine ones, but yeah, that's just the way it goes. Unfortunately, I got a bit emotional, a bit frustrated earlier on, but Once again, a big congratulations to MTL Bloodshot, commiserations to Rocco, and we'll see you guys very, very shortly. Don't go anywhere.
possible.
Fids is now within 7/10 of Rocco coming into the hairpin. Now, are we going to have another lap after this one? I think we probably are, because 3 minutes on the clock. Yeah, we are. We're going to have 2 more laps here in this race. So these guys here have got 2.5 laps left in this one. Or 2 and a bit laps, really, should I say. Rocco PS Fids. MTL Bloodshot running in 5th place. Now throwing the kitchen sinker. Rocco looking to try and take a podium in the final race of this season. Try and go out on the high with PS Fids, I'm sure about that. PS Fids in a battle of his own for the championship as well, which he could maybe be able to secure here. Comes into this 11 points behind Nilsson in the championship. To the inside of Rocco into turn 1, couldn't quite make it happen though. Looking back to the inside once again, try to distract him as we can, but Rocco holding firm for the time being. Knows that he's got a slim chance of still taking the championship here. If anything were to happen to Recco Vantage, Rocco could still be poised. But the likelihood of that is extremely unlikely. Especially when you consider the MTL Bloodshot's only 2.5 seconds behind them anyway. So if Recco were to, anything were to happen to Recco, then MTL would be more than likely to benefit from it as well. Up to closing stages of this season here at Motive for the PlayStation 4 GT3s. PS Fids still absolutely throwing everything that he's got here at Rocco. Cheyenne Speed has driven off into the distance in this race. We've barely even spoken about him. He's just coming through the final chicane. He's about to start his final lap of the race. PS Fids still looking for a way around Rocco, but it's not. The opportunity is not presenting itself at this point. He's running out of time. He's running out of laps. He's running out of opportunities here. PS Fids to get himself onto the podium. PS Fids is actually, I think, as we can see Rocco straight on over the chicane. That might allow PS Fids to make a move here into the final corner. He's sending on down the inside. PS Fids very aggressive there. Door bang between the two of them, and he forces his way through there up into 3rd place. Rocco on the outside though will have the straight line speed. The Lexus is very quick down the straights, and he'll have the pace on the Aston Martin here. PS Fids, I think, gave him the position back there. Probably accepted that he was a little bit aggressive. He's looking back to the inside though with PS Fids into turn 1. Things better that one. Rocco takes the corner, and for the time being, Rocco weathers that storm. But that's allowing MTL Bloodshot into this fight for the podium spots now. How MTL Bloodshot would love to take a podium in his Champions Drive here. He's most likely the champion-elect of this GT3 league, unless Recco Vantage or Cheyenne Speed were to have some kind of issue on this final lap of the race. But MTL Bloodshot running in P5, that's enough for him to take this title. Rocco still clinging on by the skin of his teeth here to PS Fids. But it's not going to be enough for Rocco as it stands. He will lose out on the championship by 4 points if it is to stay as it is. If he were to lose out to PS Vids, he'd lose out on the championship by 9 points. But as it stands, it's going to be a 4-point gap between the two championship contenders. Where's Cheyenne Speed? He's coming through the final chicane now. What a drive it's been from Cheyenne Speed, to be fair, as he's just put a lap on Nilsson. Into the final corner he comes. Could have won last week at Barcelona, got very unlucky with the disconnection when he was chasing down MTL Bloodshot for the win there. Up towards the line. He's going to make up for it this time around as Cheyenne Speed comes over the line to take the checkered flag. A dominant victory tonight from Cheyenne Speed, and maybe sending out a message to these rivals for next season that he's going to be a force to be reckoned with in the championship. Reco Vantage, a great drive from him, kept at it and was in the thick of it in the battles. Didn't get the best of openings to the race, but he's going to come around to take a P2 in the end. Managed to get the jump on Rocco in the pit stops and did not look back from there. Up towards the line, P2 for Reco Vantage in the season finale. Rocco coming into the final corner. He's going to be the runner-up in the championship for the second season running, but well done on a great season, Rocco. You absolutely laid down the gauntlet. You really did give it everything here, and he's a very valiant second place here this season. PS Vids 4, but MTL Bloodshot is your champion for Motive Racing's GT3 League here on the PlayStation 4 platform, following in the footsteps of Oz Wills, Thorsten Borchardt, Kurt Hodgson, as well as Cordeo, Jonathan Reed and Lut Barato. MTL Bloodshot is the 7th different champion here in the GT3s on the PlayStation 4, and congratulations to you, MTL Bloodshot. You fully deserve it, taking 4 wins out. Check, check. Here we are, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Motive Racing YouTube channel. We are here for the final round of the GT3 League here on the PlayStation 5 platform for this season. We're at Brands Hatch in the night time at a very cold and sort of frosty track temperatures here tonight. We've got 17 degrees on the track, so it's going to be difficult for these drivers to get their tyres up to temperature, but the one plus side is that their tyres will last a little bit longer tonight. But enough talk about tyres. We have got a championship on the line here tonight. Tinus in the house and Jazzman. Jazzman, the leader of the pair, coming into this final round, leads the championship by 3 points coming into this one. It is oh so tight between these two, and wouldn't you believe it, they have accepted a challenge. They're both going to start this one from the back. So 17 car grid tonight. They are going to they've both decided to start the race from the back, and they're going to have to carve their way back through and do this one the very, very difficult way indeed. But I imagine they are both up to the challenge. It's going to be fascinating to see how this one unfolds, but it's, you know, anything could happen to either of them as they're making their way through the pack. You just don't know what might happen. You don't know if somebody could lose it in front of you. So I've got to say, it takes balls of steel for both of these guys to accept this challenge and to start from the back with the championship on the line. But it means we might get means we might get a first-time winner this season, with those two having taken all the wins so far. 2 wins for Jazzman, 3 wins for Tinus. It might mean we get another winner. It's definitely going to mean we get another pole sitter. So that's going to be exciting. So we've got SOP Nelio currently leading the session at the moment. He's got just under half a second at this point over Dequino. Formerly known as Credeo. You might have heard me mention his name a little while ago on the PlayStation 4 stream. Oh, is he just, I think he knows we're watching him. Oh. You might have heard me mention him on the PlayStation 4 stream a little while ago. Obviously, we just recently crowned a new PlayStation 4 champion in the shape of MTL for the GT3s on a Sunday here at Motive. But Dequino knows what it takes to take that championship. He's won that one before. Obviously, the standard here at Motive is going up and up and up every season. We're getting more and more faster, more consistent drivers in every season, so he has to work a little bit harder now to be up the top. But he's currently half a second off of the pace at the moment. You've got Crew Kip there sat in 3rd place, just under 6/10 off of the fastest time. Emrosh in P4 ahead of a funny looking guy, and it looks like Rompu's just gone up into P2 there. So Rompu getting himself within 1/10 of a second of SOP Nelio's fastest time so far in this session. Rompu usually gets plenty of support in the comments section. You've always got JR, the CEO of Run DJC, in the comments backing his man. So at the moment Rompu's about half a second off the pace, because MVGT is just on the fastest time. So a 23.8 there from MVGT. That is a very, very impressive time indeed. As we've got Mr. Lemond in the comments there. I believe that's Tinus there saying last to first challenge for me and Jazzman. Here we go. Let's make it a classic, says Jazzman Racing. We're both streaming our onboards in case anyone is interested. Good to see. Just make sure you plug the main stream as well, boys. But we are going to be absolutely on YouTube, like you're probably going to be watching the pair of you the entire night, if I'm honest with you. As we can see, SOP Nelio improves his lap time very marginally there, but not enough to dethrone MVGT at the top of the leaderboards. Currently just under 4/10 between MVGT and SOP Nelio at this point. You've got Rompu sat in 3rd. Rompu's been the best of the rest in the last few races, next to Jazzman and Tinus in terms of overall pace, albeit last week he wasn't able to showcase that to his fullest extent, because he had a bit of damage near the end, and he was accused by a couple of drivers as being a bit of a mobile chicane at the end of last week's race. But to be fair, he was defending fairly. He wasn't weaving, he wasn't doing anything against the rules of racing, so you know, you can't really knock him, to be honest. But he did come in for a bit of criticism, but he's currently 1/10 of a second off of the overall pace being set by MVGT at this point. Crew Kip's in 4th. He's just coming over the line. Let's see what Crew Kip can put on the board here. Stays in P4 for the time being. The Crew has been pushed down to P6. Can he improve up towards the line? No, he can't. Stays P6. Emrosh is just coming around the final corner here. What can he put on the board, as he's currently 7th in this session? Emrosh has had some good results so far this season. Has been up there in quite a few of the races. Over the line he comes. Stays in P7 for now then. will get up the championship standings and, more importantly, the results for this season. So Jazzman comes into this obviously with a 3-point lead over Tinus in the house, so it's going to be nip and tuck between these two tonight. They're both going to be starting from the back, so making it a little bit extra difficult for both of them. Rompu sits in 4th in the standings, actually behind Decruno. Decruno sits in 3rd, 7 points ahead of Rompu in the standings, so that'll be interesting to see who can come out with 3rd in the championship. And Krukip is also in that battle for 3rd in the championship as well. He's actually just behind Rompu, 8 points behind Rompu in the championship. So he'll be determined to finish ahead of him tonight and maybe be in with a shout getting that 3rd spot in the championship. The battle for 6th in the championship also very much on. Raki currently sat P6 in the standings ahead of Spuz. Doesn't look like Spuz is here tonight. So Spuz has not turned up. I don't know why, but Spuz isn't here, which is a massive shame. So Spuz won't be getting P6 in the championship unless he arrives at the 11th hour. Emrosh is in 8th in the standings. He is 8 points behind Raki coming into this one. So if he finishes in 7th and Raki comes in 12th, then he'll be able to pick up P6 in the standings. But we've got a full race ahead of us yet and a long way to go. Sharka Zulu is 9th in the standings, but he's a long way off for those guys and really needs a miracle to finish ahead of him in the standings. But he's in a bit of a battle with Saki and Andre for 9th in the championship, and those two, would you believe it, currently right next to each other in this qualifying session. But currently Saki and Andre, as it stands, out qualifying Sharka Zulu, so would pip him for that 9th spot in the championship as it stands, albeit it would actually go to count back because they'd be tied on points. In which case it would be Sharka Zulu who would take the 9th spot in the championship due to his 7th place finish at Zolder. But of course this is all theoretical at the moment. This is all academic. What's going to happen over the course of tonight we just don't know, as Rompu has just done the fastest time of the session and goes on to provisional pole, so that will be delighting the Run DJC boys in the chat, where you've usually got JR and Lightblade and crew, and Chris sometimes also jumping into the chat. These guys, big fans of Rompu. Obviously they get behind their own. They're very much they support their own guys in the chat to the Run DJC. They're always jumping into different live streams from all sorts of leagues and supporting their drivers, so it'd be cool to see them jumping in at some point over the course of this one. But 2 minutes to go here in this qualifying session, and Rompu currently looking set to take his first pole position of the season, the first non-Jazzman or Tinus pole of this season. In fact, the first non-Jazzman pole, because Tinus hasn't taken a single pole this season. It's been all Jazzman in the qualifying sessions. He's taken 5 poles from 5 races this season as Jazzman. Currently MVGT looking to try and stake his claim to take 1 pole position for this season, but Rompu currently sat in that particular chalice at this point, as we're now jumping on board with MVGT, who's just coming in towards the final part of the lap. He's got just over a tenth to find if he wants to start on pole for this one. He'll get another lap in after the one. He'll get 2 more laps in after this one, because he'll cross the line with just enough time to spare. So this isn't all the be-all end-all for MVGT. He'll get a couple more runs in after this one, but up towards the line he comes. Can he go on provisional pole here ahead of Rompu? Yes, he can, by 2 tenths as well. MVGT top of the board there. So a lovely lap. Does a 1 minute 23.4. We saw Jazzman in the practice session did a 22.9, I believe, with his fastest lap. So MVGT only half a second off of Jazzman's fastest time in the practice session. SOP Nelio coming in towards the final corner as he gets it nicely turned in there, using the curve to get the car rotated, and onto the power he comes, out onto the start finish straight and up towards the line. What is it going to be for SOP Nelio? He crosses over the line and he improves his lap time by quite a lot, takes half a second off of his previous best, but still 2.5 tenths adrift of the provisional pole time. Not far off of Rompu though, not far off of a front row start as it stands here in this one. And MVGT, we said, would get a couple more runs in. He's currently on the first of those 2 runs here. Provisional pole sitter. Rompu's got to find 2 tenths of a second in this qualifying session if he is to take pole here. But top 3 well clear of Krukip, and Krukip's in the pit, so he's not going to improve on P4 here in this session. But MVGT, Rompu and SOP Nelio currently showing everybody how it's done at the moment. A funny looking guy has come over the line, hasn't improved. Decruno in the pits. He's not going to get any higher than P6 in this one. Saki and Andre also in the pits. As we see Rompu coming up towards the line. Now what can Rompu do here? Over the line he comes. Stays in P2. Doesn't improve. Still 2/10 shy of MVGT at the top of that leaderboard. SOP Nelio coming through the middle sector at the moment. MVGT looking like it's going to be pole here. He's improved his lap time a little bit. Rompu's still out there, but MVGT is on one more final run of the session. He's improved his lap by about a tenth on what it was before. Rompu though has got a chance of maybe dethroning him at the top of that leaderboard. Who's further up? I think MVGT is just a little bit behind Rompu on the track. As Rompu, big slide there, coming to the third to last corner. Here he comes now. He's got literally just this one final right-hander to go. 0.3 of a second shy of MVGT. Rompu has been the best of the rest in a lot of the races this season. Dacuno currently ahead of him in the point standings, in the battle for third in the championship behind Jazzman and Tinus. Up towards the line, here comes Rompu. What can he put on the board here? He flashes the lights. He's not going to improve. He stays in P2. Does MVGT rub salt in the wounds? Yes, he does. 23 dead there from MVGT. So that is pretty much, I would say, in the ballpark of Jazzman and Tinus there. That is a very quick lap from MVGT. We could be seeing a new first-time winner this season in the final round of the season. Well, how great that would be. But MVGT pole ahead of Rompu second. SOP Nelly will line up in third place, ahead of Crewkit fourth, followed by Mrush in fifth. A funny looking guy will start in sixth, ahead of Dacuno seventh, followed by Sakin Andre in eighth, ahead of Poplog in ninth, Sharka Zulu 10th, then Raki in 11th, followed by Scooter Red Paul 12th, Rust Rebel 13th, Stones 14th. Lexi Mate will start this one in P15, ahead of Tinus in 16th place, and Jazzman will round out the grid in P17 for this one.
In the sky, gazing far into the night, I raise my hand to the fire, but it's no use, 'cause you can't stop it from shining through. It's true, baby, let the light shine through. If you believe it's true, baby, won't you let the light shine through for you.
Check, check. Check, check. Here we are then, ladies and gentlemen, we're about to go racing for the final round of the PlayStation 5 GT3 Championship Motive, and we're just coming up towards the line. MVGT taking a great pole position in the qualifying session. Rompu alongside me on the front row, SOP Nelio, Crew Kip. In fact, Rompu, Crew Kip and Takuno all in the battle for third in the championship, but here we are, we're racing down towards Paddock Bend for the first time, and SOP Nelio has got a very strong start there and has jumped Rompu straight away into turn one, because look at that, looks like Destinelio now trying to put the pressure on MVGT, but Rompu losing out there, down to third place in this race. Crew Kip there's behind Rompu at this point. In fact, M. Roche has gone ahead of Crew Kip, actually up into fourth place. So M. Roche up in position, and looks like Espinelli also up in position. As we can see, they're very wide there from as we see. A funny looking guy there going wide, sorry. A funny looking guy has lost out to M. Roche there. But let's see where the other two are. The championship contenders, Jazzman and Tinus, running in 15th and 16th places. So they've both made a move. They've both got ahead of Raki. Raki must have had a spin here on this opening lap. What's going on here? Somebody's going all over the place there on the left-hand side of your screen. You just saw somebody bin it into the barriers there. That was Sharka Zulu, was it maybe? I think it was Sharka's, I don't know. But anyway, Or is it Lexi, mate? I don't know. Anyway, Tinus in the house is ahead of Jazzman at the moment. These two pretty close though, making their way through the pack. They're 13th and 14th in this race at the moment. But SOP Nelio within 0.3 of a second of MVGT as they're coming around to complete the first lap here. They've got a second back to M. Roche, who's actually now been overtaken by Rompu and a funny looking guy. So a funny looking guy and Rompu getting ahead of him, but now a funny looking guy is trying to eye up Rompu here. He's in the slipstream down the start finish straight. It's very difficult to overtake here at Brands Hatch though, and a funny looking guy is going to have to live to fight another day as Roche is looking back down the inside, trying to come back at a funny looking guy if he can. You've got DeCruno on the back of these guys. Saki and Andre there running in 7th place as DeCruno thought about making a move there, and then Roche couldn't do it there. A funny looking guy behind Rompu at this point. Nelio though putting the pressure on MVGT in the opening exchanges of this race, and any of these guys at the front, especially these two though, MVGT and Nelio, are going to be hoping they can at least get one win on the board in this PS5 championship. It's been dominated by these two, Tinus and Jazzman, who are running in 12th and 13th at the moment. They've gone for a challenge there. These two, both in the championship fight, they are the two championship contenders. They're the only two who could win this championship. 3 points between them, and they accepted a challenge to both start from the back, as we can see them now trying to make some headway here, and they're just making their way past somebody, but we don't know who it is because I've checked every single person in their vicinity and it's not any of them, so I don't have a clue who it is, to be fair. I've just clicked on every driver who's around them and it's not any of them. So yeah, I don't actually know who the hell it is, but anyway, Tinus has actually got ahead of Stones and Saki and Andre, and Jazzman is on the back of those two right now, trying to get himself into 12th if he can. And Tinus is on the back of Scooter Red Bull here already, putting the pressure on. So Tinus has made a lot better progress in the first 2 laps of this race than Jazzman has, and he's already onto the back of 9th place man here, Scooter Red Bull, while Jazzman languishing in P13. And Tinus has got the run here, coming down the start finish straight. Is he going to look right? Is he going to look left? He's going to duck to the inside here. Scooter and Paul is going to see him coming. Tinus thinks about it, and Paul's gone deep. Paul's gone deep into the corner, and Tinus is going to squeeze his nose up the inside. Is he going to get it done in towards Druid's corner? I think he is. Tinus is going to get that one done there, and Scooter and Paul tucks in behind him, and that's job done there for Tinus. Good move there. Jazzman's got ahead of Stones up into 12th place, can now focus his attention on Saki and Andre. You can see there, Jazzman can very much see Scooter and Paul and Saki and Andre in the front of his bonnet at the moment, but at the front is MVGT leading SOP Nelio on lap 3 of the race, and Nelio really trying to put the pressure on him as quickly as he can. A funny looking guy running in 4th place behind Rompu. These two banding it out over the final podium spots, but Rompu, surely this is an opportunity for Rompu to go for a win here. He's 3.5 seconds off of the lead. He needs to get a move on though in this one, that is for sure. As the Cruno's on the back of M. Roche here, and Crewkip also. So as it stands in this race, I think Rompu would actually be able to, I don't know if he'd take, I think he would take 3rd in the championship as it stands, but he'd like to get ahead of MVGT and Nelio to try and make it a little bit more safer, with the Cruno and Crewkip not too far away at the moment. But the top 2 currently pulling away from the rest of them. Rompu, a funny looking guy, M. Roche and DeCruno and Crewkip have actually dropped off a little bit off of Rompu and a funny looking guy. And what's happened to Nelio? Nelio is at a moment. Nelio's dropped back to 4th place. He was on the back of MVGT. Those two are having a bit of a dice for the lead. SOP Nelio now gets a little bit of a shaky run out of Paddock Hill Bend, and that's going to invite M. Roche down the inside. And M. Roche makes the move there into Druid's corner. So M. Roche up into 4th place, and Nelio seems to be paddling a little bit. Hopefully he's not got damage, but he's allowing DeCruno to drive clean around the outside of him. So I think Nelio might have a bit of damage here. Potentially got some kind of ailment in the very, very early stages of this race, so that would have been the last thing that Nelio would have needed or wanted, obviously being in the battle for the lead with MVGT. But MVGT's now got a clear lead at the front ahead of Rompu. 4 seconds the gap between MVGT and Rompu at this point. A fun looking guy is on the back of Rompu at this point. You've got M. Roche there is dropping off at the back of Rompu, and a funny looking guy a little bit over the last few laps. Nelio though down to 7th place in this race. He's been passed by Crewkip there, and Poplog is a couple of seconds behind. I think Nelio's now got himself back into the groove again. Tinus and Jazzman up into 9th and 10th places. The gap in the championship, we've got to remember, 3 points between Jazzman and Tinus. They've already made their way up into 9th and 10th places. They're both in the top 10, and we're only we're nearly 4 laps into the race now, but these two have made electric progress through the pack, and Tinus can see Poplog not too far in front of him here. They're only about, I think Tinus is about 10 seconds off of the lead at this point, is Tinus. So this is incredibly quick progress, and Nelio into the pits to fix that damage. So that's going to only promote Tinus and Jazzman up another position each here. So these two already doing great job, doing great stuff here. As we can see, if looking guy getting very loose there, coming out of Druids, gets it together for the next left-hander though, but he's trying to put the pressure on Rompu. If looking guy has had a few retirements this season, hasn't had the best of seasons considering the amount of talent that he's got. He's a very quick driver, but hasn't really been able to showcase that to its fullest. Can he get a podium? Can he even get a win with MVGT 5 seconds up the road? It's not out of the question, as Crew Kip has got ahead of Dakuno up into 5th place. So he's done him through the first sector there, and Crew Kip now up into P5, although the timing board's still yet to update itself. And looking down the order, doesn't look like there's too many other battles going on right now. Stones is on the back of Raki, as Raki just got ahead of him though. I think Raki might have just made that move ahead of Stones for 13th place. Raki can see his friend Scooter Red Paul just up the road there, about a second ahead of him on the track, so he can definitely sense the possibility of getting himself that one. The funny looking guy still hassling Rompu right now in this battle for 2nd place, and Tinus is now eyeing up Poplog here in this battle for 7th. Oh, who was that? Who was that that's lost it coming through the third to last corner there? It must have been a lapped car. Must have been a lapped car, surely. Surely it was a lap car. Who knows? Honestly, who knows? I think it was Shaka Zulu. What? He can't have been lapped. Surely not. No, he's not. I don't know who it was, but a funny looking guy. He's running in 3rd place still, right on the back of Rompu here, as these two continue to dice it out for 2nd place. I'm just going to have to pretend that I imagined that, because I don't know what happened there, unless it was Lexi, mate. Unless it was Lexi, mate, and he's retired to the pits straight away. Could have been Lexi, mate. But a funny looking guy still within 0.4 of a second of Rompu right now. Crew Kip 4 seconds further back as funny looking guy. Again, he looks quite loose in that BMW. He's got that BMW set up a little bit on the edge here, hasn't he? He's living dangerously at this point, is a funny looking guy. But these two have gapped Crew Kip by about 4 seconds. You've got Dakuno there running in 5th place, a second behind Crew Kip at this point. Tinus still on the back of Poplog. This is now for 6th place, with all the carnage and the retirements going on in front of them. But Tinus is about 15 seconds off of the lead at this point. So, you know, he's done an incredible job since the start of this, when you consider everything. You know, he's been coming through the pack. MVGT's got a clear road in front of him, has just driven off. But Tinus very close, and with Tinus getting held up behind Poplog, it's actually allowed Jazzman to pull up onto the back of Tinus here. So these two now pretty much nose to tail. Now the thing is, in the top 10, from positions 4 to 10, the points differential between each position is 2 points. So in order for Tinus to finish ahead of Jazzman in the championship, he would need, as we see Tinus looking down the inside of Poplog here and makes the move there up into P6, but Jazzman follows him through. So these two just picking their way through the pack in unison right now, and they're up into 6th and 7th places respectively. Poplog losing 2 positions there. In fact, has he lost 3 positions? Because I think, no he hasn't, that's the back of Jazzman. So Poplog there losing out, and it's down to P8 in this race. But these two in 6th and 7th places now, but now they've got a little bit of a climb to get to Dakuno, who's 4 seconds up the road, and then after Dakuno you've got Crew Kip, who's another 4 seconds up the road, and then you've got a fun looking guy, and then you've got MVGT who's 5 seconds clear of Rompu. So all told, they're about 15 seconds off of the leader at this point, and they've got work to do, that is for sure. You know, it's going to be a long road from where they are to the lead. But the podium spots, they've got about 10 seconds to a funny looking guy at this point, and he is battling with Rompu, so they might find that they'll be closing onto them a little bit quicker than they otherwise would if they weren't battling. But next up for Tinus and Jazzman will be Dakuno here. Raki's still on the back of Scooter Paul. These two battling it out over 12th and 13th places right now. But hopefully the stream's been alright in the last few minutes. Yeah, it looks alright. But yeah, I mean, these two, Tinus and Jazzman, cutting their way through the pack like a hot knife through butter at this point, as we're just over 10 minutes into this race. Fun looking guy on the back of Rompu here. You see half a second separating these two at this point, but MVGT just bossing things out of the front, looks in control of this one. Although having said that, the gap's kind of just stagnated a bit now. It's not really going up like it was, and Rompu seems to have control of this at this point Krukip 4 seconds behind Rompu, and a funny looking guy still got Dacuno 3 seconds behind him, and Tinus is continuing to close in on Dacuno. The gap's now under 2 seconds between Dacuno and Tinus in the house, so that is continuing to come down as we speak. Jazzman still on the back of Tinus. Jazzman knows he doesn't need to get ahead of Tinus, that's the thing, so he can just sit behind him, and as long as he's within one position of Tinus, unless they're in 3rd and 4th, he will be able to take the title unless they get into 3rd and 4th. If they get into 3rd and 4th, all of a sudden that will mean that Tinus will have enough points, because the points differential between 3rd and 4th is 4 points, but then all the other positions in the top 10 is 2 points. So 1st to 2nd, 2-point gap, 2nd to 3rd, 2-point gap, 3rd to 4th is a 4-point differential. So basically, as long as they're not in the top, as long as Tinus doesn't get in the podium spots, Jazzman will be able to just sit behind him. But as soon as they get into 3rd and 4th, that's when it gets complicated for Jazzman. But currently, as you were here in this battle, when they're now pulling up onto the back of Dacuno, you can see Dacuno in the foreground there. He's going to have an absolute mirrors full of Bentley very, very shortly. As look at this, who's dropping down the order here? Second, Andre lost out to Sharkazulu. Sharkazulu into 10th. Scooter Paul still ahead of Raki. Always second Andre bit riding over that curb, being very exuberant with those curbs there for sure. Just under a second between Rompu and a funny looking guy at this point. Tinus is now looking to try and get underneath Dacuno here. The last thing that Tinus or Jazzman needs here is to get involved in a collision with any of these drivers as they're picking their way through. But he's looking down the inside into this right-hander at the end of the back straight, and Dacuno gives him the space. He's trying to hold it around the outside. I think he's going to give that one up there. Dacuno lets Tinus go, and Jazzman will be on the back of Dacuno as well in a moment. Yep, Dacuno lets him go. So not messing around there. It was Dacuno. He's just saying, go on, off you go, after you, pal. And away he goes again. But the gap between a funny looking guy, the gap between Rompu and a funny looking guy under a second still, so these two still going at it, and the funny looking guy's actually gained a little bit on Rompu out of that last corner. You can see the run he's got down the start finish straight, but Paddock Pen comes just in time there for Rompu. And Krukip's still running in 4th place, but he's going to be next on the hit list of these two championship contenders, Tinus and Jazzman, who are still picking their way through the pack like they're not even there at this point. It's been absolutely sensational from these two. 5th and 6th after not even 15 minutes into this race. These two started from 16th and 17th on the grid. They're up into P5 and 6. They have each picked off 11 cars on their way to where they are right now. And in fairness, they haven't had to overtake all of them. There's been a few retirements. There's been some incidents, but you know, the job that they've done so far in this race is absolutely almost unbelievable. As we see number 14 Saki and Andres just cleared a drive through there, and he's back out again. SOP Nelio a lap down in this race. What a massive shame there for SOP Nelio. We saw he was up high, he was battling with MVGT in the first couple of laps, but something obviously happened to him and it's dropped him down the order. But MVGT's pretty much been handed almost like a walkover out front for now. I mean, that could change quite quickly once Tinus and Jazzman get to within range, but for the time being, MVGT in very much splendid isolation at this point, as Tinus is now pretty much on the back of Krukip here. It looks like it's under a second between Krukip and Tinus. We're riding on board with Jazzman, who's right behind Tinus at the moment as they're coming out onto the start-finish straight to complete their 10th laps of the race. But championship situation, if it were to finish as it is right now, Jazzman would take the championship by 1 point, because he's only 1 place behind Tinus and they're not in the top 3, so therefore the points differential, 2 points between them. As I said before, it only gets complicated once Tinus is in P3. If Tinus were to finish in 3rd and Jazzman 4th, then suddenly it means that what it means is that Tinus would take the championship, because the gap between 3rd and 4th is 4 points. For the point system at Motive for the PS5 GT3s, it would mean that Tinus would suddenly be in a championship taking position if he were to go into 3rd. But for the time being, as long as they stay within 1 position of each other, it's going to be Jazzman taking the title. But Tinus putting the pressure here on Krukip, trying to get himself into 4th place if he can. These two 6 seconds off of a funny looking guy who's running in 3rd place here in this race. And Rompu's still keeping a funny looking guy at bay by the looks of it on the timing screen. On board with Jazzman as Tinus is looking to try and put the pressure here on Krukip though, as they're coming down towards the final corner here, this final right-hander. Tinus will try and get a good run here, I'm sure, out onto this straight, and he might be able to set Krukip up. And a funny looking guy has got himself into second place. And Rompu, oh, Rompu's had a moment. What's happened there to Rompu? Was it a collision with a funny looking guy? We're not sure what's happened there. Those two have lost about a second and a half to MVGT coming to that last sector alone. So I don't know if they had a collision. Oh, I tell you what, that was tight there, coming up into Druids. And a funny looking guy running in second place, but Krukip there in third. Tinus and Jazzman moving themselves up. In fact, Tinus is lost out here. So Tinus has lost out there trying to get ahead of Krukip, and both of them really shooting themselves in the foot, and that has given Jazzman third place here in this race. This is massive. Tinus, we knew he had to finish ahead of Jazzman to win this championship. Jazzman coming into this with a 3-point gap. They've both done Krukip. I think Krukip might have been the cork in the bottle there, as they had done Rompu down the straight into Paddock Hill. Rompu was hobbling along, and then Krukip just, I don't know if he was trying to get out of the way or what was going on, but Tinus ended up on the grass and he's lost out. He's eventually managed to get ahead of Krukip, but now Jazzman ahead of Tinus, and Jazzman with a 2-second gap here to Tinus in the house. So all of a sudden, this man here running in third place, although he's lost a bit of time to a funny-looking guy, he's in third place, and that's all he needs to take the championship. But if they stay in third and fourth and Tinus were to get ahead of Jazzman, all of a sudden the championship swings back in Jazzman in Tinus's favour once again. So this one absolutely wide open at this point, but they've already made their way up the order very quickly here into third and fourth places, and at this point it's hard to bet against Jazzman here in this race, as Tinus very wide there coming out of Paddock Hill Bend onto the gravel a little bit. As Didi's saying in the comments, go Rompu, Rompu. Unfortunately, Didi had a bit of a moment. He had a collision, I think, with a funny-looking guy as they came out onto the start-finish straight. He's dropped down the order, and he's got damage, I think. He's gone wide there, coming through the left-hander after Druids, and that's given DeQuino 6th place here in this race. Rompu down to 7th place here now, and it's all falling apart. It seems to be unravelling for Rompu here. He has got damage. He's got some heavy damage by the looks of it. That car is not turning. He's got massive understeer here, and I don't know what's going on. And what's happened to Jazzman? Oh my goodness, Jazzman has lost out to Tinus in the house. And Tinus in the house up into third place. We completely missed that. Jazzman has made a mistake there, coming through the first sector of the lap, and Tinus in the house back into a championship taking position here. It's ebbing and flowing, and it's going back and forth between these two, and all of a sudden Tinus in the house is now in a championship taking position. You get 4-point swing for finishing in third place over fourth, and the gap 3 points in Jazzman's favour means that as it stands in this race, Tinus in the house would win the championship by 1 point. Early days yet, but Jazzman has got work to do once again here in this race. And this is unbelievable stuff. You don't know where to look, you don't know what to think, you don't know what to expect from one moment to the next. But Jazzman with a little mistake on the previous lap, and now finds himself trailing once again, not just in the battle with his teammate, but in the championship battle. These two 7 seconds adrift of Tinus in the house at this point. The thing is, if I were Tinus at this point, if I was going to be strategic, if I was going to do this tactically, I would try and, in these parts of the track where it's narrow, where it's hard to overtake, I'd be trying to back Jazzman up. I'd be taking it easy. I'd be trying to back him up and trying to stop them both from closing in on a funny looking guy, because the last thing that Tinus needs is to get into second and for Jazzman to follow him through ahead of a funny looking guy. What Tinus needs is for MVGT and a funny looking guy to just get away into the distance, and he needs to back Jazzman up. If I were Tinus, that's what I would be doing at this point. Whether Tinus is going to be thinking to do that, whether that can go through his mind at this point when he's in the heat of the battle, we're going to have to see. But Tinus has got to be doing that through the slower parts of the track, the narrower, slower parts of the track. I think that Tinus has just got to try and back Jazzman up here and try and stop them both from closing in on the two leaders. But who knows what Tinus is going to do. Third of the way into this race. Pit window will be open in about 5 minutes time. But as it stands in this championship, Tinus in the house would take it by 1 point. As we've got Chris Pittick in the comments saying, go Rompu. Rompu's been struggling the last lap or so, Chris. I don't know whether he's got damage. He seemed to have chronic understeer coming through the first sector a couple of laps ago, but he seems to have stopped the rot a little bit. He doesn't seem to be losing any more time to the leaders, so he's obviously got hold of whatever it was that was holding him back. But Tinus and Jazzman currently half a second between them, coming down to the end of this little straight. MVGT continuing to extend the gap to a funny looking guy. It's just under 10 seconds between those two. A funny looking guy is being caught by Tinus and Jazzman at this point, so Tinus is continuing to push. This is the part of the track where I'd have thought that Tinus would need to ease off and try and back Jazzman up a little bit, but you know, it's hard to do. He doesn't want to misjudge it and end up getting passed by, and that's the last thing he needs, is to misjudge it and then Jazzman nips through and into a championship position once again. But is that a funny looking guy? Is that a funny looking guy in the distance? It is. So he's made a mistake there. Funny looking guy has lost a lot of time there on that lap. He's now 12 seconds behind MVGT, and Tinus is now only 2.7 seconds behind him. So funny looking guy seems to be struggling a little bit here. I don't know what's happened to him. I don't know if he's made a mistake or what, but he seems to be going backwards here. Has he got damage on the car? Hopefully for him he hasn't. But Tinus and Jazzman are now pretty much looming large on him here. What it will be if a funny looking guy continues to go at the pace that he's going. There's Roche now on the back of Rompu. I think Rompu's trying to long it out to the pit window. He doesn't want it. The last thing he wants to do is to come in before the pit window, because then he's obviously got to come in again. So he's trying to long it out. It's a trade-off here, but I think he's probably better off doing what he's doing than coming in early and then having to pit again. He's probably better off just sticking with it, just sticking it out and carrying on. But nonetheless, Roche is up into 8th place here in this race. Jazzman's still on the back of Tinus, and these two continuing to rear. Then a funny looking guy, massive understeer there, kicks up a lot of the grass as he goes ever so wide, and Tinus now will be sensing this opportunity to get himself into 2nd place in this race. But this is not what Tinus wants, because Tinus needs to finish in 3rd and Jazzman 4th if he is to take the title. He needs a 4-point swing, and if they come 2nd and 3rd, the gap between 2nd place and 3rd place is only 2 points. And that's not what Tinus wants. He wants to gain more than 3 points on Jazzman, as Jazzman is 3 points ahead of him in the championship. So as it stands in this one, Tinus really would probably be better advised to stay put. But how much damage has a funny looking guy got, and how much is that going to be costing him, and how much could that be potentially costing Tinus and opening him up to Jazzman if he is to hold station and try and stay behind a funny looking guy? This is turning tactical, it's turning strategical here, and Tinus looks like he's going to be making the move here as a funny looking guy. Oh dear, has he got damage, or is he just being over aggressive there in his defence? Well, nonetheless, he holds on coming into the right hander at the end of the back straight, but that looked a little bit dodgy there from a funny looking guy, I've got to say. But he keeps on to P2 for now then. Looking on the timing screens, Raki's continuing to pick his way up the pack. He's now into P10, so Raki's quietly just really done a solid job over these last few laps. Obviously going for 6th in the championship. Be great to see Raki sealing that one, but he's ahead of Shaka Zulu, and he's only got a couple of seconds up the road to Rompu, so Rompu will be next on Raki's agenda, as a funny looking guy seems to have got hold of it a little bit over the last lap. He's actually pulled out a bit of a gap here, and now Jazzman's looking to the inside of Tinus. They're side by side, the two championship contenders. This is for championship position here. Jazzman down the inside. Oh, there's a little bit deep. Oh no! Oh, Jazzman goes into Tinus, and a big slide there from Jazzman. Gets hold of it. He was very lucky there to keep himself in it. Oh my goodness me. Heart in mouth time there for Jazzman. If he had lost it and binned it into the wall there, that could have been his championship done. But he did really well to get a hold of that, and Tinus there probably had a little bit of a brown pants moment as well, as he saw Jazzman diving down the inside. But Tinus keeping going in 3rd place, and that was a hairy moment for the two championship contenders indeed there. Shaka Zulu still on the back of Raki, and Raki's lost a bit of time there to Roche. So in fact, no, he hasn't, sorry. Raki's now ahead of Rompu, so Rompu's made another mistake and is down to 11th place here in this race. So Rompu there having a bit of a moment. A fun looking guy is now 16 seconds behind MVGT. MVGT just pulling away, just extending his gap at the front. But Jazzman's already pulled up onto the back of Tinus once again. Tinus sat in that P3 as a fun looking guy again, very wide. And he seems to be struggling at points here. I said earlier on, that BMW looks like it's very loose. It looks like it's a bit of a handful for a fun looking guy to drive. I don't know if he's maybe set it up, he's gone the wrong way with the setup, or if it's just a bit of a difficult car around Brands Hatch. But anyway, we see Tinus coming into the pits here at the end of lap 18. So Tinus, one of the two championship contenders currently in the championship position, is coming in, and Jazzman is following him in as well. So the two contenders coming in at the same time. Tinus led them as they came into the pits. Can Jazzman get the undercut here? Not the undercut, can he get the jump here on Tinus? They're both stopping into their boxes now. Crewkip also following them in. Crewkip in that battle for third in the championship. At the moment, it's looking like Daquino is currently in the box seat for that one, though, because with Rompu dropping down the pack and looking like he's out of that battle here, unless he gets a bit of luck here in this one. And Rompu coming into the pits, no surprise there. He's been losing hand over fist. And if the pit window had come any later for Rompu, I think his chances of third in the championship would be well out of the door. He's not too far away from Daquino at this point, and Crewkip, so Rompu maybe could still be in with a shout, but he's got work to do, that is for sure. But Tinus and Jazzman coming out of the pits now. Tinus has stayed ahead of Jazzman. He's actually come out quite a way ahead of him. Jazzman did seem to have a bit of a tardy pit stop. Jazzman only a couple of seconds ahead of Crewkip, but I wonder if Jazzman has changed tyres. Possibly Tinus hasn't. Maybe that could be the reason for the differential there. Is who have we lost? We've lost somebody from the race. Who have we lost? Just having a look at my screen here to work out who it is that we've lost. We lost Sakin Andre. Sakin Andre's retired from the race. Obviously, he was in a battle for 9th in the championship with Shark Azuli, but that is going to have all gone to pot now with that retirement here on lap 19 of the race. So that's it, that's done. That's his season over, Sakin Andre. What a shame to lose him before the halfway mark in this race. There's a funny looking guys into the pits, pitting from P2 in this race. So has he managed to hold on ahead of Tinus and Jazzman, who were really coming after him before the pit window? That's the question. It's going to be not easy at all. We've got 7 of you currently watching the stream. Guys, if you like what you see, please drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, but mainly drop a like because it really helps us out more than you know. As we see Roster Rebel coming into the pits here at the end of lap 19. But where's a funny looking guy in relation to Jazzman and Tinus? Tinus has already come past, so a funny looking guy, potentially with a bit of damage. He's only just going now, so Jazzman has got ahead of him as well. Tinus and Jazzman getting the jump on a funny looking guy in the pit window. So now, crucially for Jazzman, they're now in second and third places again. Wow. You could not write this, I tell you. So Tinus now in second, Jazzman third. But importantly for Tinus, and this could benefit Tinus enormously here, he's now got a 6-second gap to Jazzman because of the time that he gained in the pits. Jazzman, I assume, maybe put fresh tyres on, might have a bit of pace over Tinus in the last part of this race, but the gap's 6 seconds. I tell you what, if Tinus can catch up to MVGT, then he might be able to take this championship. If he can catch up and pass MVGT, who's led this race and who's really run off into the distance in the first half of this race, I mean, it would be a massive ask for Tinus to do that, because we've probably got about 22 laps in this race, 23 laps left to go in this race. I think he's about 20 seconds behind him once MVGT comes into the pits, so it's going to be a massive task for Tinus to do that. But he's got 6 seconds back to Jazzman, so he's got an opportunity here. He's got a bit of clear air, but a funny looking guy having that very tardy pit stop there and dropping down the order will definitely not have helped Tinus in his battle to try and take this championship away from Jazzman, as these two now running in a net P2 and 3 with Dakuno, Raki and Shark Azuli still yet to pit. Poplog though into the pits here at the halfway mark, and off and away he goes now towards the end of the pit lane. Stone's still yet to pit as well. Lexi, mate's been stuck in the pits now for quite some time there, but MVGT still yet to come in. Oh, so just click the replay there, whoops. Didn't want to do that. But yeah, this championship battle still absolutely wide open. For those of you just joining us who didn't join us earlier on for the PlayStation 4 GT3 finale, it was MTL Bloodshot who took the championship in the end. He came into it with a 13-point lead over Rocco. Rocco managed to finish ahead of him. Rocco came in home in P3, but MTL brought it home in P5 and ended up taking home top honours and is the 7th GT3 champion on the PlayStation 4 here at Motive. It's Takuda and Raki both into the pits here at the end of lap 21. Is Sharka Zulu coming in as well? Yes, he is. MVGT staying out for now. Does he come in at the end of this lap? He's just flashing a back marker here. That's actually Crew Kip there in front of him. So MVGT's lapped everybody up into P7 at this point, but still yet to pit. So it's not really relevant at this point, and he is into the pits now. So MVGT choosing not to get held up for too long behind Crew Kip, and in he comes. Now it's going to be crucial to see what the gap is between MVGT and Tinus. Has Tinus got the pace to close in on MVGT in the last part of this race? MVGT has been doing his own thing out the front, and he's been, I'd say, probably more than a match for Tinus and Jazzman in terms of raw pace in this race so far. I reckon even if Tinus and Jazzman had qualified, MVGT would be giving them a run for their money at this point. Such has been the pace of MVGT. So I don't know what the gap's going to be between MVGT and Tinus once MVGT comes out of the pits, but he's currently sat in the box at the moment, waiting for the green light from his pit crew to get going once again. And all I'm going to say is this could be pretty close here, but Jazzman has started to close in a little bit on Tinus over the last few laps. The gap's gone from 5.7 to 5.1, but Jazzman's not really making the gains that he'd want to be making on Tinus at this point, and MVGT's out of the pits, so he's now off and away. And there is Tinus just coming through clearways now. So he's just coming out onto the start finish. MVGT coming under the bridge into towards Druids. Tinus is just coming over the line now, and into the Paddock Hill braking zone he comes. He's got 5 seconds back to Jazzman, his championship rival. So the gap 19 seconds between MVGT and Tinus, and we're probably going to have 20 laps more in this race. So Tinus has got to gain about a second a lap here on MVGT if he is to take this championship. As it stands in this one, Tinus will gain 2 points on Jazzman for finishing in second and Jazzman third, but 2 points will not be enough for him to take for him to take the championship. Jazzman comes into this with a 3-point lead in the championship. So as it stands here in this one, Tinus needs to win this race and for Jazzman to stay behind MVGT. So this could be, MVGT could be the cork in the bottle for Jazzman here at this point. We just don't know. There's still a long way left to go in this race. 26 minutes, pit windows coming to a close. Everybody having made their pit stops. It's all to play for here still. Nelio's closed up onto the back of Sharka Zulu at a bit of 0.2 of a second, currently separating these two in 11th and 12th places. SOP Nelio's been bringing himself back up the order a little bit after his early woes in this race. Was in a battle for the lead with MVGT in the very early stages, but had a bit of damage in the first part of the race, had to come into the pits before the pit window, so he's had to pit twice here in this race. But he is putting the pressure here on Sharka Zulu for 11th place at this point. Gap between Tinus and Jazzman staying around the same as 5 seconds, and MVGT's made a mistake. MVGT has made some kind of mistake somewhere. We're not sure where, but the gap between MVGT and Tinus is down to 10 seconds. This could be absolutely huge. This could be massive implications here in this championship. MVGT has made a mistake out there. We don't know where, we don't know how, but the gap's now down to 10 seconds between MVGT and Tinus in the house. And as we said before, if Tinus can finish in first and have a driver between himself and Jazzman, then Tinus could win this championship. It's still on the cards for Tinus in the house, running in second place here, just about to put a lap on one of the back markers here. Just about to put a lap on Sharka Zulu, actually. No, not Sharka Zulu, sorry. About to put a lap on. Yeah, it was Shark Zulu that he was putting a lap on, so Tinus coming through there. But Shark Zulu and Espinel are still having a good battle here. Still battling out over 11th and 12th places. But Tinus has brought the gap down some more here. It's now, he's brought it down by 6/10 in the last lap. Has MVGT got damage on the car? Tell you what, let's go to a replay. Let's check the replay and let's have a look and see if MVGT's got damage. I apologise for this, guys, but I just want to skip to the end of this replay and just see if MVGT's picked up damage on the car, because he seems to be losing hand over fist at the moment to Tinus. Let's get the trackside view. He hasn't got any damage there. Let's skip a bit forward to the live pictures then. Still no damage there. Skip forward a bit. Still no damage there. So by the looks of it, MVGT hasn't got damage. He's just had a little bit of an off, which has kind of just halted his pace a little bit. Tinus gained another 3/10 coming to the first sector, but the gap's not coming down by as much as it was. Jazzman, though, is reeling in Tinus. The gap's 4 seconds between Tinus and Jazzman at this point, so Jazzman currently on a bit of a charge, but Tinus is bringing the gap down to MVGT as well. 13 seconds covers the top 3. And this one's still absolutely wide open. If I can go 1.2 seconds is his gap at the moment over Takudo, battling out over 5th place. SOP within 3/10 of a second of Shark Zulu at the moment, as Shark Zulu gets really wide onto the grass there. Tell you what, that was close. And what has happened here to Rust the Rebel? Rust the Rebel's had a huge moment there. Oh, Nelio just gets a little bit wide onto the grass, trying to stay out of his way. Rust the Rebel's now going to look back to the outside, but SOP Nelio losing a bit of time to Shark Zulu, and Shark Zulu nipping through into P10 says thank you very much. While Nelio really struggling to get anything done here with Rust the Rebel, as we now see the Jazzman there just unlapping himself on both of them, but Nelio there squeezing back through ahead of Rust the Rebel, and Jazzman just threading the needle there between those two, as Rust the Rebel's having a look to the inside in towards the hairpin Druids, but no, can't do anything just there then. But Jazzman would have lost a little bit of time to Tinus there coming through that traffic. Doesn't look like it out though, does it? Looks like he's gained a bit. So yeah, this one still wide open between Tinus and Jazzman, but Tinus is closing the gap to MVGT. The gap now 8.3 between MVGT and Tinus in the house. And Jazzman is currently 12 seconds off of the race lead at MVGT at the moment, as he's just coming through to put a lap there on Shark Zulu, and Shark Zulu stays well out of the way there. Doesn't do any harm. No harm, no foul there on Jazzman, but Tinus continuing to close the gap, and Jazzman lost a bit more time to Tinus there coming to that middle sector, probably down to the fact that he was having to put a lap on Shark Zulu. But this championship is absolutely hotting up here in the closing stages of this season. Really, we're into almost the final third of this season finale, and this could go either way at this point. It really could go either way. Wouldn't want to say who's got this one in the bag at this point. SOP Nelio and Shark Zulu have been going at it for some time here. Shark Zulu's been holding off SOP Nelio for some time now. We're just using the replay function here for a bit, because obviously the bonnet cam is what we're limited to on the spectator mode on PS5, but you can actually get the spectator mode. You just have to click on replay. Unfortunately, you can't get a live spectator mode, but this is the view of SOP Nelio trying to get onto Shark Zulu. You can obviously see Jazzman there a little bit up ahead of these two. Jazzman made his way through ahead of Assetto Nelio. And obviously Assetto Nelio and Shark Zulu continuing their little scrap here. So gap continued to come down a little bit between MVGT and Tinus, 7.7 seconds currently between those two. Jazzman has got the gap at under 3 seconds now to Tinus. So Jazzman's really reeling in Tinus, but Tinus is just chipping away at the gap to MVGT. 7.5, we've got just under 20 minutes left in this race. Jazzman just took another half a second out of Tinus there through the first sector. He's just gained a little bit more there, so just under 2.3 now separating Tinus and Jazzman. MVGT still losing time to both of them though. Tinus gained half a second on MVGT, so Jazzman is by far the quickest driver out on track right now. I mean, you can just see by the fact that Tinus is gaining on MVGT and Tinus is losing time to Jazzman. Jazzman is going unbelievably quickly at this point in the race. I mean, fair play. He's absolutely rapid. Gotta give it to the boy. Emrosh is closing in a little bit on Pop Block now. These two 1.4 separating them as they come into Druids. Ooh, Tinus there almost getting caught out by a back marker. Stones there. Took a little while to get out of the way. Jazzman will have to get past him as well in a moment though. So it's not all doom and gloom there, but Tinus for sure would have been a bit of a brown pants moment there as they came out of clearways onto the start finish. But at the moment, Tinus has just got enough in hand. Tinus actually gained a bit on MVGT as well on that last lap. The gap now down to 6 seconds between MVGT and Tinus. Tinus is chasing this race win. He needs the race win to have any chance of taking this championship. Emrosh continuing to gain on Pop Block here. Oh, this is very wide there as they came out of the second to last corner. But 2.2 the gap between Tinus and Jazzman at the moment. It's ebbing and flowing. Tinus has got some more traffic in front of him here, and that gap's actually come down a bit to the middle sector. I think that's about, might be under 2 seconds now as Tinus makes his way through the traffic. And Scooter Paul gets well out of the way and wants absolutely nothing to do with that. Emrosh just over a second, just under a second now behind Poplog. And the gap between Tinus and Jazzman, 1.7 seconds. Tinus needs a good lap here. He needs to nail this lap to just settle his nerves a bit and just to try and keep Jazzman on the back foot. Jazzman is coming, and he's coming at a rate of knots here. 1.7 still the gap between these two. They're both bringing the gap down to MVGT. MVGT will be seeing these two Bentleys, the two champion contenders, will be pulling up on him very soon as there's another back marker there moving well out of the way. That was was that Anelio there, just almost swerving out of the way as he saw the contenders coming through. 1.5 now the gap though between Tinus and Jazzman. Now, as it stands in this race, Jazzman would take the title. That's not the dispute. That's not the concern here. The concern is once they get to MVGT, if Tinus takes the lead of this race, Jazzman will need to finish P2 to take the championship. If Jazzman can't finish in P2, can't follow Tinus home, then Tinus would take the championship. So Tinus is closing in on MVGT, but they are both reeling in the race leader at this point, and Jazzman took another 2/10 out of Tinus coming through that final sector. I said at the beginning of the previous lap, Tinus needed a good lap here. He needed a quick one to put the pressure on Jazzman. At the moment, he's just not getting it. He's not doing what he needs to do at this point to really keep that pressure on Jazzman. Jazzman is just sat there poised. He's waiting for the opportunity. As Jazzman gained, and well, they're pretty much even coming through that first sector there, to be fair. Let's have a look at the battle between Poplog and Emrosh. Poplog's still holding on for P6 at the moment, not by much though. I'll tell you what, Emrosh is coming for him. As these two now separated by less than a second at this point. Two Ferraris battling it out. It's going to go down to the wire between these two, I think. Jazzman is now within a second of Tinus. He is continuing to chip away and bring the gap down very, very close now between Tinus and Jazzman. I think Jazzman might have changed tyres in the pit stops because he seemed to gain quite a lot of time on Tinus in the pit stops. After the pit stops, shall I say, not in the pit stops. Tinus gained a lot on Jazzman in the pit stops. But then since the pit stops, Jazzman seemed to have a quicker car. But Tinus is also running an MVGT, and these two are going to be both arriving on the back of MVGT pretty shortly, you would imagine. Emrosh still trying to pressure Poplog in the battle for 6th and 7th places, but still no opportunities really presenting themselves for now. Oh, big slide there from Poplog, I tell you what. That was on the brink there, wasn't it? As Emrosh looking to the outside there. Still nothing doing. Jazzman remaining on the back of Tinus here, but this is so tight between these two right now. You can separate them by pretty much nothing at this stage. Emrosh must have made a bit of a mistake because he's dropped a little bit off of Poplog now. Where did he make this mistake? Let's have a look, see if we can find where he made this mistake. So Emrosh was on the back of him coming out onto clearways. Oh, I reckon he probably made the mistake into Paddock Hill, didn't he? Here they were coming down the start finish. And Emrosh, as they came into Paddock Hill, no, he's all right there. Must be in here. Oh, yep, he looks to try and make the move. Poplog covers him off to the inside, and Emrosh, as they come out of Druids, yeah, he gets a bit of a slide. That was what it was. That's why the gap's now up at 2 seconds. Obviously, Emrosh was putting the pressure on Poplog, but that was where that pressure came to a temporary close. The gap now 2 seconds between MVGT and Tinus, but Tinus and Jazzman are tied together right now. Jazzman has been gaining on Tinus by about 3 or 4 tenths a lap, And at that rate, he's managed to bring himself right onto the back of him. The gap was around 5 seconds after the pit stops, but it's now been pretty much brought down to near enough nothing at this stage. Those 3 or 4 tenths a lap have really helped Jazzman to bring himself now onto the rear end of his foe for this title. But these two now really close on the back of MVGT here as well. Noticing on the timing screen, M-Rosh is dropping off at the back of Poplog a little bit now. He's 3 seconds behind him, so that charge seems to have petered out for the time being. Well, at least I know now that if the PS5 spectator mode still isn't fixed for next season, at least I figured out a way of making it at least somewhat workable. When I notice that something's happened, or when I see something happen, we can just have a little look on the trackside of it. But these 3 leaders, MVGT, Tinus and Jazzman, just coming up to put a lap on some traffic there, and that traffic was Raki, who moves well out of the way there, one of our coordinators. Raki obviously Stanley's man for our F1 League as well, reigning Constructors Champion in the Red Bull alongside his son Jelram, who is the reigning champion of the F1 League on a Friday night. Raki races here in the GT3s on a Sunday. He also tries to sub in when he can as well for any other leagues here, but we don't race on a Saturday anymore, so he can't really sub in for that one. But he regularly comments on Wednesday night. He's regularly watching our streams, always supports the streams as Raki. Massive fan of Motive as always. And Tinus is now within 0.2 of a second of MVGT. He's looking underneath him, he's trying to duck under him here. MVGT just covering him off at the moment though. MVGT doing a really good job here of keeping Tinus behind him, but I don't think he's going to be able to keep him behind him for too long. The thing is, if Tinus gets past MVGT, then Jazzman needs to get ahead of him as well. Because if Jazzman can't follow Tinus through, then that could mean problems for Jazzman, because Tinus will be in a championship position as Tinus looks to the outside here into turn 1, but MVGT covers off that inside line, does a really good job there. Tinus just tags the grass a little bit. MVGT is now going to have to defend here. Tinus is looking down the inside into Druids. MVGT sees him coming and leaves him the space. Tinus looks to have that move done, I think, on the exit of Druids in towards the left-hander now, and yes, Tinus does have that move done up into P1. Tinus in the house takes the lead here at Brands Hatch in the final race, the season finale. He's now in a championship taking position, but with the momentum that Jazzman has had over the last few laps, he's surely going to be able to get MVGT. Or is MVGT going to come back at Tinus here? These two have been lapping about half a second quicker than MVGT a lap over the last few laps. The gap's come down from 10 seconds to Tinus having the lead here over the last 25 minutes, or over the last 20 minutes really. So they've been going about 6-7 tenths a lap quicker than MVGT. I can't see the MVGT coming back at Tinus here. Oh, big slide from MVGT, and that's going to allow Jazzman through. And Jazzman once again takes the championship taking position here. MVGT down to 3rd place here in this race. So let's jump on the replay there. Let's have a little look and see how that all happened once again. So Tinus making the move up into the lead of the race. Here it is. So MVGT had the lead coming out of the final corner, clearways out onto the start finish. Tinus had a great run, had the slipstream all the way down to the corner and looked to the outside. MVGT covered the inside, but then it was into Druids where he just got the better run. Tinus got a little bit of his car down the inside, went for the move. I think MVGT banked on Tinus having to take a tight line and maybe getting him into the next corner, but Tinus managed to get it perfectly judged and sneak through up into the lead. And I said Jazzman needed to get himself into P2 as quickly as he could, and he really did go and make that happen, to be fair. Literally only took him a couple of corners to follow Tinus through. As we watched them here, they came down the back straight, Jazzman was not messing around there though. He knew he needed to get himself into that P2 in order to be able to take the championship, and Tinus had a brief taste of a possible championship there, but Jazzman, as you see here, managed to take MVGT with MVGT's little wiggle coming through. I think it's the next corner it is, when MVGT had that little wiggle. There it is, and Jazzman moving himself up into P2 and into a championship taking position. So Tinus and Jazzman separated by 7/10. MVGT dropping off at the back of him a little bit now. But it's looking like Tinus has got this in the bag here. I'm just noticing on the timing screens I completely missed this one, but Roche has got ahead of Poplog, so I don't know when that happened. So Poplog had P6, so Roche obviously made a mistake a few laps ago which caused the gap to go up a bit. At this point, Poplog's still got P6. I don't think that happened. I think that might be a glitch. Yeah, I don't think we're going to... Oh, hold on. No, there we go. So, Poplog was coming through Druids. And he looked like he must have got damaged because Roche was suddenly ahead of him. So, yeah. I think the game kind of like glossed over whatever happened there. I think he lost it on the exit of Paddock Hill by the looks of it, but ultimately Roche into P6 now, and he's pulling away from Poplog. If Poplog's got damage, he might be vulnerable to Raki here, so he might have to watch out. Raki could be reeling him in over these last couple of laps. Jazzman and Tinus onto the final lap of the race, and Jazzman trailed Tinus in the opening few rounds of the season. Tinus taking the first 3 races of the season. Jazzman taking 3 poles from 3 in the first races of the season. He took 5 from 5 by the time we got to the end of the season, but Jazzman, obviously the king of the qualifying. Tinus taking the first 3 wins, doing a great job, and the gap 2 points going into the race at Spa. Jazzman then took his first win of the season. Followed that up with a win last week as well to extend his championship gap to 3 points. And what can you say? Jazzman has put on an absolutely superb performance this season. He's been the quickest in terms of raw pace, I think, since the beginning. But Tinus at the beginning of the season had that consistency and seems to have that upper hand. But Jazzman has really stepped it up another gear in the last 3 races of this season. He was the quickest man tonight, but hats off to these 2 boys. They started from the back of the grid, 16th and 17th places. These 2 started. They've made their way back through. MVGT had a massive lead at the midway point, got away at the start, and Jazzman and Tinus managed to pit their way through up into 1 and 2. MVGT is going to be a valiant 3rd place here in this race, but Jazzman is going to exit the final corner here at Brands Hatch. He is going to take the first ever PS5 GT3 championship. The checkered flag is out, and Jazzman comes over to take a superb win. Tinus in the end, a 2nd place in the championship for him. MVGT comes over to take a well-deserved 3rd place here in this one. A really good job from him this season. Crew Kip came over to take 4th place in the end. DeCuno 5th. Roche came over to take 6th place here in the end this season. In the final race of this season, he managed to come out on top in that battle with Poplog. Raki came home for 8th ahead of Nelio in 9th. Sharka Zulu 10th. Rust Rebel 11th. Scooter Pool in 12th. Stones 13th. A funny looking guy finished in 14th place, and Rompu completed the classification in 15th. But Jazzman, what a season and what a job he did this season. He absolutely destroyed them in the race at Spa. Last week at Zolder, he really was a step above everybody else, including Tinus, and this time out, Jazzman and Tinus put on an absolutely fantastic show coming back from the back. Congratulations to Jazzman on taking the PlayStation 5 GT3 title here at Motive. Been a pleasure to have you two here this season. Been great to see you out on track doing your thing. You two, some of the quickest drivers on ACC. I hope you join us for next season. I don't think you will, because I know Jazzman said before he only does one season at leagues. He goes from league to league, does one season at one place, moves to another. But it'd be great to have you next season. You're more than welcome to join us for another season. But thanks to everybody who joined us for this season. Once again, congratulations to the two championship contenders and to Jazzman on taking the title. We'll see you next season. Join us for the next GT3 League on the PlayStation 5. Sign-ups will be going out tonight. We'll have the SLP form up in a couple of hours, maybe in the next hour or so. So keep an eye out for that. But guys, once again, I want to thank everybody for joining us. We will see you next season. Take care, everybody, and we will see you very soon. Jazzman and Tinus onto the final lap of the race, and Jazzman trailed Tinus in the opening few rounds of the season. Tinus taking the first 3 races of the season. Jazzman taking 3 poles from 3 in the first races of the season. He took 5 from 5 by the time we got to the end of the season, but Jazzman, obviously the king of the qualifying. Tinus taking the first 3 wins, doing a great job. And the gap 2 points going into the race at Spa. Jazzman then took his first win of the season. Followed that up with a win last week as well to extend his championship gap to 3 points. And what can you say? Jazzman has put on an absolutely superb performance this season. He's been the quickest in terms of raw pace, I think, since the beginning. But Tinus at the beginning of the season had that consistency and seems to have that upper hand. But Jazzman has really stepped it up another gear in the last 3 races of this season. He was the quickest man tonight, but hats off to these two boys. They started from the back of the grid, 16th and 17th places. These two started. They've made their way back through. MVGT had a massive lead at the midway point, got away at the start, and Jazzman and Tinus managed to pick their way through up into 1 and 2. MVGT is going to be a valiant 3rd place here in this race, but Jazzman is going to exit the final corner here at Brands Hatch. He is going to take the first ever PS5 GT3 championship. The checker flag is out, and Jazzman comes over to take a superb win. Tinus in the end, a 2nd place in the championship for him. MVGT comes over to take a well-deserved 3rd place here in this one. A really good job from him this season.